Hey, welcome to another episode of the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. I'm your host, Rod, joined as always by my co-host,
Karen.
and we're live on a Tuesday, ready to do some feedback. That's right, not feedback on a Saturday, feedback on a Tuesday. Karen wanted to do feedback on a Tuesday.
Yes.
She said, let's just go ahead and go in there and get it out the way.
Y'all been writing an email, and I was like, let's get this. Let's go ahead and get the people what they want.
So what are we going to do for the rest of the week? What's the next feedback show? When is the next feedback show? Hell if I know. Karen just decided. Okay. So that's why we're here. And I'm just here so I don't get fined.
We don't want y'all waiting. Why have y'all wait?
We had a great live show on Saturday. I'm sure we'll talk about it somewhat. But thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you to everyone that bought virtual tickets. Thank you to everybody that spread the word. We really enjoyed meeting people, taking pictures with folks. The pictures I'm sure we'll be posting on social media soon. We had like a real photographer, so we'll be getting those.
We got to take pictures with people. It was fun.
I said that part. But yes, it was fun. We had a great time. And we'll get to your comments and stuff about that as well. But first things first with feedback, you leave feedback with all the stuff in the show notes. That's how you do it. Look in the show notes, whatever you see there, that's how you do it. You can also leave us 5-star reviews. For a little bit, I was kind of reading and sharing some of the 1-star reviews because sometimes people come right in and they're just hating. But I've discovered today that the person that's been doing the 1-star, they're just submitting worse and worse dumb reviews over and over. So, and like one time they submitted like a good 5-star review. So like, I think it's just a person that's mentally trolling or something that just wants attention. And this is why we stopped reading 1-star reviews, because people would troll and they wouldn't be sincere and they just want to get attention. Some people, it's kind of like lowest common denominator type shit. They're not, it's like, if I can't be your best friend, I'll be your worst enemy.
Yes.
Batman, whatever.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to encourage that super villainy.
No, and we didn't ask for that. And, and it's also one of those things too, to where, for what me and Roger do, we're somewhat public, not very public, somewhat public with, the information we do and sharing things like that. And a lot of times when people leave these 1-star reviews, a lot of times their critiques are shit you can't change. So,
well, fuck all that. It don't matter if there's something you could change or not. I'm not interested in most negative shit that people have to say about what we do. I've thought about it. We're good. We chose what we chose.
We are good.
But also just at this point, it's for attention. Yes. Like reading those reviews, it's just stupid shit. Like, this show is racist. It's like, okay, you don't even believe that. You just think I'll read it on the show. So
correct.
Back to 5 stars, and it's got to be nice, guys. We can't party. We can't have a good time all the time because some people don't know how to play for nice. Let's get into the real reason we do this show. For the money. Okay. Some of y'all give us money just for doing the show. That's it. Not premium, not going to a live show, tickets and events. Just you put a little something on it in the collection plate and say, go on, keep the party going.
May I have your attention? You are now listening to Charlotte's Own Rod and Karen. We welcome the good folks who tie to the Black Guy Who Tips.
That's right. Today is a new day with new pay. Palmetto Stone Magic. Thank you so much for the recurring donation. Mr. Span from the Mr. Span podcast. Lindsay B. J. Full. Alfonso M. David C. Jasmine J. James C. Autumn W. Latricia C. Bambi. Dr. Professor Bambi. Unbridled Love. Kimberly Falcons Diva. Kevin W. Jason F. Derek L.W. Ken M. Lawrence C. Zachary from the Living Corporate Podcast, Preston Team Dro, what's going on? Slang of Ages Podcast, Tanisha G, Godfrey J, Stefan H, and Celeste VB. Thank you, everybody that took the time out to put a little something in our pockets, a little spending change for us to hold. Thank you so much. No reviews this week, no 5-star reviews, but we still got a bunch of comments on the website on each episode, stuff like that. You can leave comments via Spotify in our Q&As. You can leave comments going to the blackguywhotips.com, looking up specific episodes and being like, hey, I want to leave a comment on that one. You can also leave comments through YouTube. Like, we put the videos on YouTube. The actual live show that we did, the video from that is on YouTube. We just went ahead and put it up there. You know, I thought about waiting like a month or so to put it out because, you know, for the people that weren't there. But then it was like, you know what, fuck it, man. Let's keep the party going, you know? So it's all out there is my point for y'all. The first episode of the week was our feedback show, 2774, Time to Move On. We got 5 comments. Apia left the first 3. About mental health and the internet. You can still find great resources and community online, but you have to find other channels than mainstream ones. A moderated forum with approved users and real experts, like on a site of patient organization, can be very helpful. I think I even donated money to the organization afterwards, and they had very helpful information like that. I could get a specialized therapist on short notice for 7 free sessions from my city. Yeah, well, it's got to be nice, you know, when you live in Germany and your city does stuff like that. I used this opportunity. It was a elderly lady who did talk therapy and meditation exercises with me. How great that my city offers this. All this I could research from my bed. I could actively improve my situation. Yeah, I don't think anyone is saying like it's all bad or something like that. It's just, it's tougher than it was, I think, at the beginning of the internet. The beginning of the internet, we were skeptical. And I mean that as the users.
Yes.
We were all like, this'll be a serial killer. How you gonna meet people? They gonna be crazy. Da, 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 da.
Yes. And particularly everything is done online where people would, like Roger said, would be like online dating. People would look at you like the weirdo if you date online. Now people look at you as the weirdo if you date offline. You're like, I don't want to do that. What's wrong with you? You go, well, that's not my thing. It's almost like the tables have turned on certain things.
Yeah, and so I think we've gone from, you used to be afraid to trust any information on the internet. Then I think we had a sweet spot of people were trusting on the internet and just somewhat skeptical, and people were putting out information from vetted sources. But the internet kind of killed vetted sources for certain things. Like, this is why newspapers are out of business now.
Right.
This is why, you know, cable news is always having layoffs, and why it became more about opinion and talking heads and stuff, because competing with the internet, which is almost immediate information and misinformation, entertainment over facts, that kind of stuff. It's candy, it's sugar, it's the thing that your brain goes to first. I think this version of the internet is just giving us brain diabetes. It's all candy and sugar all the time, and it's delicious, and you can go find it, and the resources now have become more loose. So yes, you could go to you could find some mainstream resources that you might can trust. I think that's actually pretty good. I know your thing said find other channels than mainstream ones, but I think a lot of mainstream channels can be trusted. But it's like, what do we call a channel? A channel used to be something on a cable station.
Right.
It used to be something where multiple people worked there with editors and journalistic integrity and ethics and standards
and researchers.
And now it's Joe Rogan counts as a mainstream channel.
Correct.
You know, I would say there's certain people that are just like TikTokers. They count as mainstream sources of information for certain people, depending on how much you're on there.
Right.
And so that's why I say I think it's harder. I don't think it's harder in that the information isn't out there anymore. I think it's harder to sift through the information. And, you know, thank goodness you were able to do it. But I think sometimes we find people that just went down the wrong rabbit hole and they're completely out to left field. And we're like, what happened to you? And they went searching on the internet, and their internet told them 9/11 was an inside job, and they ended up down the ivermectin, I'm not taking the coronavirus vaccine rabbit hole. And the same thing, and it started from the same place of seeking information from the internet. She says, what big pharma CEO isn't white? The one we have isn't, so I know that he is South Asian. Oh, girl, you didn't need to waste my time. We was joking. So I'm not even fit to click on this link. It was like, You listen to this show too much to be trying to take us literally when we make jokes like that. So I refuse to participate in that. Karen was right. There is a new postpartum drug on the market. Good. It's a hard disease. And I had all the good things going on for me when I had my kids. I wasn't alone. I had enough money and the kids were healthy. No pressure to go back to work in 4 weeks. But she sends a link to the FDA approved first oral treatment postpartum depression drug.
Good, because I remember hearing about that. I didn't know if it was on the market yet, but I do know that that's it, that they were really pushing for that. And it would not be, like a lot of other things, surprising if this was something a lot of women, in particular, a lot of Black and brown women particularly push for.
Are you touching something on your desk or something?
Oh, sorry.
Or like shaking? Because I can just hear it in your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I was rocking. I didn't realize that was rocking the desk. And I think for me, I'm glad, but it's something that should have been done a long time ago. And it's also something because men don't think about the shit that affects women. So women and marginalized and other people are the ones that get a lot of this shit to market. You be like, okay, women and people with vaginas and stuff, they've been around forever, but all of a sudden we hundreds of years into medicine and it's 2023 and y'all go, we just not dealing with this matter. It's like, but shit, you should have been dealt with it.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think a lot of, it's patriarchy affects everything, and especially science. Mary says, OMG, I don't know how long this has been airing, but I just heard it during this episode, your live spots, specifically the one for Spotify for podcasters. Listen up, dummies. I fell out. The whole spot is hilarious. I've listened to it twice and even rewound it another time. Amazing quality work, even on the ad Chef Kiss. Well, thank you. What happens is Spotify for podcasters sends us a notification every month to qualify. So the way it works is, you had to have 100 listeners. I think they just changed it to you have to have 1,000 to qualify for these ads. So what happens, I'm still hearing the shaking.
That's not me. Hold on.
I heard it. All right, it's gone now.
Okay.
It's gone as soon as I said something about it. Interesting. But just I don't know, maybe a chair is in a different spot than it was. I don't know.
I get myself.
I know we weren't recording, we weren't recording in the studio Saturday, so maybe I don't know. Anyway, my point being, so you need 1,000 listeners and you need to put an episode out within the last 30 days or 60 days. Of course, we qualify for both.
Right.
But they tell you need to basically record an ad for it every month. And I record we could just technically probably upload the last ad or the ad a couple ads ago, but me and Karen typically get in here and brainstorm for like a minute or two and come up with a weird, sketchy idea for each month and try to do the ad read in like a different scenario. We've done the church one, I think was my favorite, where we was doing like a reverend. But we've done, this one was cool, like just being like super aggressive and calling everybody stupid for not doing it. Like we've had some fun ones, and I think it's like a cool thing. I like doing live read ads on our show, but also I think it's like cool for the audience that you're not getting. I've listened to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of podcasts just seem like they're too cool to read an ad with any enthusiasm. It's like, here's this shit I have to do so I can do my podcast.
Right.
Hey guys, Spotify, sign up for Spotify. And I'm like, if I'm gonna do it, let's have fun with it. At least, y'all will think it's funny,
Right. And it's hilarious when people do actually listen and pay attention to it, because like Rod said, we change it. And for those of you that actually always alive in the chat, y'all miss it. So I think somebody wrote in, it was like, I thought I was listening live and heard the commercial. I was like, yeah, y'all get the shock of y'all live. Y'all just don't get, if you live, you just get like that musical skip. You don't get the commercials.
A lot of times also, I forget that we recorded those ads. And sometimes y'all won't hear it because I'm assuming most people kind of skip ads in general. I'm not mad at y'all. But a lot of times we'll get like a random email or comment on social media or something. And I really will forget that we did that ad. And I'm like, what the hell is that person talking about? Like, Preach, Rod. Sign up today. I'm like, what? Preach about what? And because we recorded that a month ago.
Right.
Evie says, I think it's hilarious when Karen doesn't know things, especially in pop culture and during white people news. When Rod mentions a famous white personality and she goes, who? That's part of the charm of the show. But Karen always knows the important stuff because she be knowing.
Hey, I be knowing something.
Cue the music, she writes. So...
I was right about something.
Karen be knowing. Karen be knowing.
I was right about something.
All right. Let's get to the comments on YouTube. See, I think it was time to move on. Turn that volume down. We got 5 comments here. Bert says, I wasn't sure if you were married. You cast from different rooms. Oh no, we're podcasting from the same room.
Oh, they think we cast from different rooms.
Yeah.
I can literally reach over and touch Roderick.
That's how good the sound quality is. Thank you. You know, and I think also podcasts have come a long way. Now a lot of people have like a third person or engineer or just people around that, you know, your bigger outlets and people with bigger budgets or just famous people. They'll normally have like a person that does a camera. They'll have 2 chairs with just the mics. No one's got a computer. No one's checking any facts unless someone gets paid to do so off screen.
Right.
And so I think what a podcast looks like for a lot of people is you can physically see 2 people are sitting together talking. And it's very, you know, and also it's video now. So a lot of podcasts is very much about appearance. You know, you got to have your makeup and your hair did. You got to have your fucking best clothes on, and you're doing it once a week. It's a lot of shit that goes into it.
It is.
And I think for us, we've been doing it so long that podcasting has changed. So maybe you thought we were like these other shows where we're not in the same room because you don't see us in the same room. We're absolutely right in the same room looking at each other.
Yes, I can look him in the face. He can look me in the face, actually.
And yeah, we're married. And I guess I don't always think of, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think of it as a, hey, everybody, it's my wife, Karen. You know, we're doing a show. I figure y'all will pick up on the nuances of it as we do it. And I'm glad it was a happy little surprise for you.
Yay!
He says, you've cast from different rooms. The mic must be easier that way. No, cast from the same room is easier this way, honestly.
I declare it is.
No delay. No. When we cast from different places was only when I was in a different state for work. Anyway, happy anniversary. Thank you.
Yay, thank you.
And Harmon says happy anniversary. SFA says happy anniversary, y'all. Karina says happy anniversary, Rod and Karen, and happy anniversary to us, the Blackout Tips. That's right. It's y'all part of it too.
Yay! I like the mugs and the shirts and stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, shout out to everyone who sent us pictures of them and their gear. We made sure to, like, you know, up it and reply and all that stuff. Absurd Spoonful says happy anniversary. Thank you everybody for the happy anniversary wishes. Now let's get into the poll. Okay, so the poll for this episode was, what do you like better, correcting misinformation or Rod and Karen not knowing stuff? And this was a joke poll I made based off of one of the dumbass like 1-star reviews until I realized it's just the same person leaving a review over and over. Some of them bad, some of them good. It's just like, that's corny now. If we're not genuinely getting haters, then I don't want it. Anyway, what do you like better, correcting misinformation or Rod and Karen not knowing stuff? Karen, what do you like better?
Rod and Karen not knowing stuff.
Well, most of the audience disagrees, so I have to correct your misinformation right now. 34% say they like when we don't know stuff. 66% like when we correct misinformation, which is mostly me doing that part.
Yes.
Which is funny. Spotify is even higher. 77% like when I correct misinformation. 23% like when we don't know stuff.
And I can understand that, because for us, which I didn't really think about this, but I've heard people say this, but for a lot of people, they aren't always online. They aren't always in the know. They don't know everything that's going on all the time because the world moves and you got family, kids, obligations, and all these other things. So for a lot of people, when they listen to us for a source of information. So for a lot of them, they're like, yes, it's very important that the information that you're putting out is true and real, a source of information.
Well, I mostly do it for myself because I have a pet peeve of listening to podcasts and they get things like not just wrong, but sometimes like egregiously wrong, which is human, by the way.
Correct.
But things can really delve into like a conspiratorial, hot take, unverified lane, and when there's no acknowledgement of it, I hate that. And not to sound too judgy, but I don't think there's a way not to sound judgy with what I'm about to say next. I low-key be disrespecting. I don't respect your intelligence after a certain point where it's just like, nigga, everything you're saying is just unverified bullshit. You're just talking.
You're just talking.
At this point, you're wasting everybody's fucking time, especially with shit that you could have looked up or stuff that's just easy. And I'm not talking about small details or unplanned whatever. And I also always allow for the idea that, hey, maybe you fuck something up, which we do all the time.
Correct.
And you find out some better information or different information. You come back with that like, oh, my bad, y'all.
Right.
I heard this, but that was wrong. Boom. That's not a problem. I love that. That's
right.
Actually, I award you more points in my head when you do that, because I'm like, oh, look at you with the integrity. I see you.
You was like, my bad, I screwed up. This is what happened. Or I didn't know, or new information came out at the time. I wasn't here flaming it up, but you know what? I come to find out, these things that happened, or I didn't have the whole story at the time we was talking, or whatever the case may be. Because I do understand, like you said, even big outlets make retractions, and
we have so much misinformation trying to get us at all fucking times now.
Agreed.
There's so much biased shit that's happening to where it leans into your biases, and so you want to believe it. You automatically believe it. You walk out on that lie, and when you find out you've been used, how many people? A perfect example: Jussie Smollett. I remember one just being like, not talking about this shit in any great detail because it feels like if I see why people think it's sketchy, and I also see why people feel like it's insulting to just completely dismiss it out of hand before we have any evidence and shit. And I always say the same thing with Carly Russell on the show. It was
right.
Hey, people are going to look into this. We'll see. There's no need for me to be the first motherfucker to tell you, aha, I never believed her. Even if I never did, I can always tell y'all that shit later. You don't have to believe me, but I can always tell you like, yeah, I thought it was kind of sketchy. But the point being like, with all this misinformation floating around, you're going to get got. That's what we get got sometimes on this show. You hear something or read something, you believe somebody and you share something and it's just not fucking true. And I think the difference is on this show, Karen's not the one who gets the topics. I do. And unless she kind of like hijacks and takes over and does like a Karen thing, which is totally fine. But normally I'm the one that got the information. She'll be asking questions, normally questions that are stand-in for the questions y'all are thinking about.
Right.
She'll make assumptions, normally the kind of assumptions most of us made when we saw something for the first time, and then we walk it through. But every once in a while, Karen will throw in some unverified things.
Right.
And it's kind of on some like, well, Rod will clean it up. He'll figure it out if I'm telling the truth. And, and sometimes it'll be like well, wasn't it this or that? And it's like, now I'm on my end trying to figure it out. And so there are people that as people, we've been trained that being corrected is like a bad thing.
Yes.
Like there's a negative connotation that comes with the idea of being corrected. Like, oh, you trying to say I'm stupid or something? And so I try not to throw that in there. Like I try to have, if anything, make a joke about it. But the point being, I can see why this is a long fucking way to go for this, but I can see why people would vote this way in the polls of, look, y'all not knowing shit. People don't know shit all the time. Y'all actually taking the time to correct some shit that y'all got wrong or don't know or looking something up. That's what I appreciate about the show, because the vast majority of shows I hear out here don't do that shit. and they get wrong and they triple and double down, especially when it hits their little bias buttons. You can just hear it. There's certain shows I listen to that have all men. Some misinformation is out there about a woman, and they go with the worst possible scenario. There's shows I listen to that's all women. Misinformation out there about a dude. They go completely into like, let's go down the rabbit hole. This is the worst case scenario. And it's not that you can never be right like that, but it's sometimes you're going to be wrong, because almost nothing is ever the worst case scenario with any human being.
Right. Most things are gray.
So it's just, you're going to end up with, and also I think people find it inconvenient to like look that shit up. That's why they don't, by the way.
Agree.
Like, I think I heard that this happened too. And it's like, oh, so you don't want to look it up, because if you look it up and find out that's not true, it just looks like you just have a bias about something. So
yeah, and also the thing about looking it up, it requires work. And me including myself, sometimes the average person is lazy. Mm-hmm. And the truth be told, the more you know, now you're accountable. And people don't want to be accountable. I've realized that. Like, a lot of people, they don't want to seek facts. They don't want to seek truth. They don't want to seek understanding, and they don't want to grow. Because once you do these things, more is required of you. You can't be ignorant no more. Like, almost like the veils that fell off your eyes, and now all of a sudden you have to view it differently, and you can't go back to your ignorant place. And I've realized for a lot of people, they love to be ignorant. Like they have an addiction to being ignorant and stupid. I know that might sound wild, but it's true, because enough of y'all have talked to enough family members and people around y'all where y'all are just flaming it with facts, and they'd be like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about what you like. They have built the wall up, and they just do not want to acknowledge the fact that what you're saying is the truth, because it would tear and rip up the foundation for some of what they believed in all their lives. And for a lot of people, they don't want to change something that they have, particularly when it comes to things based off of family, based off of religion, based off of things that's like the heart of who they are, and they built their livelihood of a foundation of life around these things. You start questioning and challenging and causing them to think. Most people's first response is to get angry, and they get mad, and they get upset, and have ego involved, because for a lot of people, when you talk about the correction, pride jumps up, and ego jumps up, and arrogance jumps up before anything else. Like, that's people's first response.
I think also, like, at least, in my opinion, I'm a gentle corrector. I'm not a caught you being wrong, or shut the fuck up that you was stupid or something. Like, and I think even when I go on other people's podcasts, this happens. Like, cause I also just know a lot of shit. I'm not a know-it-all, but I know a lot of shit. Mostly because of this job. So I don't think it has to be like a harsh correction, but I don't know. I do feel responsibility to correct shit, because I'm the thing that I think throws people off is I'm not a you need to agree with me person.
Right.
I'm not, and it in this day and age, it feels rare, but I don't think it's rare. But it feels rare for public people that have podcasts, people that have social media. It feels rare to be like, yeah, this person's saying something that I actually don't agree with, possibly even like find like bad. Like, what they're saying, I think is a bad thing to say and is a wrong thing to think. But I'm also not of the mindset of, but I'm going to badger you into agreement, or I'm going to debate you into submission, because it just doesn't happen. Some people are like that. Some issues are like that, but a lot aren't. And a lot of people can't be reached like that. But being able to say, hey, let's work off the correct facts.
Yes,
that I do believe in. You still might arrive at a conclusion I disagree with, but it's a difference. Like, it's like the difference between saying the vaccine was a huge one, because people would have misinformation, and you would see people say stuff like, well, it's like what they did with the Tuskegee experiments, and you're like, no, let's base it off of facts. Here's what that was.
Right
now, you could still say you could know what it is, still walk away and say, well, there's something in that still makes me mistrust the idea of government healthcare.
Agreed.
And you that's totally within your rights. But it's not the same. And if we can't operate in facts, then we can't really talk.
Right, because we have to be based in the same reality. If we are not based in the same reality, based in the same truth, why are we talking? Because the thing is, if we're there and we can talk and we come out with two different opinions, fine. But the foundation of what we talk about needs to be based in some reality and some truth, and the reality of what's happening and what's going on right now. And I think too many people aren't based in reality and they aren't based in facts, and then they want to have these conversations, and I'm like, I can't talk to you because the start of this conversation is not starting from the same point. And so why waste my time, energy, and effort into this when neither one of us, and I'm not going to say change our mind, but when neither one of us are going to actually have a true understanding. And I can even understand where you're coming from and why you feel the way you do. But a lot of people, they don't want to reciprocate that. And that's a problem. And I understand, because a lot of people only, because people are human, including myself, and we're selfish, and we can only look at life through our eyes, which is completely understandable. But if you have any type of empathy, sympathy, or understanding or compassion, you would actually understand another person's perspective, even if you don't agree with them.
So the Q&A was, get your virtual tickets for It's Too Late. That was gave you a week to figure it out. Carrie says, got mine, you better get yours. I got mine, you better get yours. Get yours. Happy anniversary to you two. 21 happy years of marriage is an incredible accomplishment. Can't wait to see y'all virtual at the live show. Thank you.
Yay.
Fifi says, okay, will do. Regarding nerd mansplaining, favorite part of Barbie was the nerd mansplaining part, Godfather, and music breakdowns. I lived in that world with music and Star Wars. Sorry, Fifi. James says, happy anniversary, Rod and Karen. Thank you.
Thank you.
That reminds me, at some point we need to go in the other room and get the gifts that people brought us. But I'll do it during one of the music breaks or something.
Okay.
Oh yeah, shit. Matter of fact, we should have a music break right now. I'll just take care of this right now. I'll be right back, everybody.
Okay.
Knocking like that, that's gonna distort some stuff on the other side, but that's what we do over here. We knock. Shout out to DJ Jaffa. On to the next episode, which was Union Talk. This is where I broke down the WGA SAG strikes.
Yes, sir.
Because I had to let JL Covan know
the day before he came on.
Before he came on, not to be coming on here with no bullshit. But I did listen to Rain on Your Parade, and it just made me think about, when I was listening to his argument, thinking about the holes in the argument, from a legal perspective, in an argument debates perspective, I was just like, maybe I haven't made the case, because I just didn't want to sound like another motherfucker telling people that something I find to be obvious. But it made me want to make the case for it, and so we spent a lot of time doing that.
And I really enjoyed that conversation. It was a very in-depth conversation, and it allowed us to actually express some of the things and some of the ways we feel. Because like I said, we really hadn't talked about it. I haven't really talked about it online. I've seen things. I've, bought t-shirts and stuff, supporting, the cause and all that stuff. And, we're not in, New York or LA or anything like that. But if we were,
I was in New York twice during this shit. So yeah, we are in New York for the purposes of this discussion.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, when I'm saying is, if I would have been there, I would have participated in the strike itself.
I hear you.
So that's why I bought t-shirts and things like that.
All right, let's get into the comments on this one. Mary says, thanks for talking about the strikes. I was also surprised by how many people thank me for talking about it, because in my mind, and it's probably because of the social media and just the people I work with. I've been thinking everybody's inundated with just talking about the strike and wants a relief. Even my friends, like, we'll text and they might text something about the strike, and I'm definitely willing to talk to them, but I also, a lot of them kind of need to be cheered up. It's not like a, hey, let's wallow in this. It's like, man, let's talk about some other shit that's happening in our lives, because it fucking sucks.
Right.
Especially if that's your main form of getting money. This fucking sucks. It's been almost 120 goddamn days.
Right.
And these greedy motherfuckers keep talking and saying more bullshit, sounding like supervillains. And it's just emblematic of every industry. It's not like getting jealous because of one industry is just kind of ridiculous, because it's like, well, the car people are going on strike very soon, and they're going systemically, industry by industry. Capitalism is at a fucking crossroads, and it's the individuals are pushing back, and these fucking CEOs are sounding like fucking Spider-Man villains.
Yes, they are.
Mari says, Mary.
Sound like we watching the clip in Batman.
Yeah, I honest to God, like, it's so bad. I honestly don't know. Like, I saw a thing today where I'm sure it's real, but it's so bad. I'm like, is this real? Like, I don't know if y'all ever had that feeling, but this journalist shared this clip. I'm gonna play it for y'all. And it's not about movie industry, it's something else. But he's a CEO of a company, and he's talking about he's a property developer and CEO, Tim Gurner. I'll play it. Hopefully y'all can hear it.
I think the problem that we've had is that we have people decided they didn't really want to work so much anymore through COVID, and that has had a massive issue on productivity. Tradies have definitely pulled back on productivity. They have been paid a lot to do not too much in the last few years, and we need to see that change. We need to see unemployment rise. Unemployment has to jump 40, 50%, in my view. We need to see pain in the economy. We need to remind people that they work for the employer, not the other way around. I mean, there's been a systematic change where employees feel the employer is extremely lucky to have them.
Yes, you are, bitch.
The other way around. So it's a dynamic that has to change. We've got to kill that attitude, and that has to come through hurting the economy, which is what the whole global, the world is trying to do. The governments around the world are trying to increase unemployment to get that to some sort of normality. And we're seeing it. I think every employer now is seeing it. I mean, there is definitely massive layoffs going off. People might not be talking about it, but people are definitely laying people off, and we're starting to see less arrogance in the employment market, and that has to continue because that will cascade across the cost balance.
Yeah, and the thing is, everything he's saying is false. Like, and just because you're a CEO, it don't mean anything. Productivity actually went up during COVID. People were like really working their asses off during COVID. And yes, the tables have changed, because it's one of those things where employees for the first time realized that the power was in their hands. So all you're saying is, we don't want the power to be in your hand. We want to dictate what you do, how much you get paid, and bitch, you better like it. No matter how much we fuck you over, no matter how little we pay you, you better fucking like it because we said so. And the thing is, yes, you're lucky, because at the end of the day, you can be replaced. Bitch, if the lowest level of people, like if the wheels fall off a car, the car ain't motherfucking running. No matter if you got a goddamn driver in it or not. If the engine decides to quit, the bitch ain't running. And that's the thing. Yeah, they think they're so goddamn important, and they're not.
Well, what I think is interesting is that I guarantee you he doesn't feel that way about himself at the job that he works at.
Right.
And technically a CEO is supposed to work for the stockholders and all this other shit, the board. But I guarantee you he feels he brings an intrinsic value to the work that he does that cannot be replaced by just replacing him, and that he's valuable and he should be valued. And I guarantee you he has cushy offices, cushy gigs, cushy hours, cushy transportation, people paying for meals, all kinds of business shit. So for him to even say that shit is basically him saying, I am more important than everyone else, and you should be made to feel less important so you recognize that nothing's more important than the company except me. I'm more important. When I leave this job, I want a golden parachute package. And it's funny how they're like, that attitude is reserved for me. And that's every industry. That's so many CEOs. That's so many people at the top. And now they're at a breaking point with inflation, with wage stagnation, and people are unionizing. There's places that have unions that didn't have unions even 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Why do they have unions? Unions don't form out of nowhere. Unions always happen because people are getting fucked. There's never been a union that was started because everybody had it too good and got greedy. It's always like, well, my son, my 13-year-old son was working at the paint machine factory and ripped his fucking arm off, and they're like, fuck you, back to work. And it's like, well, damn, I guess we got to start a union. All our sons got no arms, and that's how the union starts.
That's how union starts. You know how union starts? When you working at a plant and you have mandatory overtime whenever they fucking feel like it. So you get ready to get off work to go pick your child up, and all of a sudden they tell you have to work a double. And you like, bitch, I can't. You know what? I can fire you. I can penalize you. I can PTO, take away your PTO, whatever it is. So you're punishing me for the most ridiculous ass shit. And then you wonder why people unionize.
They sound like fucking villains.
Right.
And so, and I mean, and like, this is the thing, not to make it so much of a tangent, but also this is one of the reasons I don't really equate like black people's capitalism with this. It's not the same to me. Like, as fucked up as you might think Jay-Z is, I've never heard him say something this fucking evil. Like, I heard him say shit about selling crack that was less evil than what this man just said. And they put this man in a suit in a room to talk to us like we're being lectured to, and to go, what great ideas. What great ideas this man must have. It's soulless. But anyway, so I feel like when I see shit like that, I feel like, oh, do I even need to talk about this? Isn't it obvious? But I'm glad I talked about it, and I thank everyone who said thank you for talking about it. She goes on to say, I live in LA, and it's impossible to escape it since you're basically one person removed from knowing someone who's in entertainment. Whether behind the scenes as a writer or a grip or set design, or even as your waitress, who probably was a background person in a commercial spot. It is a huge part of the economy here, so it will be interesting to see the far-reaching effects, including no red carpets for stylists to dress, hair and makeup people, restaurant clubs losing business because there are no premiere or screening parties. But while it's in the Angelino's faces, I imagine for the majority of the U.S., Hollywood is very far removed, and with an image of very rich people living a fancy life. Nah, they shop where I do, LOL. And as for unions, during prior strikes, the studios have been able to fall back on unscripted reality content, but Bethany Frankel is now trying to organize reality stars to also unionize, so that's an added twist. Yeah, also, a lot of those people that are reality stars are now SAG-AFTRA people because they wanted to get into acting. And so because of the union, they're not allowed to just go and do whatever the fuck they want to do. There are certain type of shows that you can be covered, and like Drew Barrymore starting her show back with no writers, and getting fucking fried for it. Her writers, I know a guy who's the head of the late night writers, union space, Greg. He's been on the show. Greg Iwinski. He's been on the show. We talked about Star Wars, a bunch of shit. He's like, yeah, we're picketing outside Drew Barrymore, who films in the same studio we did Game Theory, by the way. We're picketing outside. Her writers are part of the picket line. Think about that. When the fucking show starts back with writers, you got to come in and work for this motherfucker. That's crazy. But yeah, they don't care. They just want to move on. And the last thing I'll say about this part is, it's not the writers and the actors in Hollywood making people care. You motherfuckers care about this probably more than anything in America. The average American person, I don't think is right, but these are our values. Matter of fact, I'm not even calling right or wrong. These are our values. When the teachers pick it, we don't care. When the bus drivers pick it, we don't care.
Right.
We want them to get back to work, but we don't care about them as people. We don't seek out their stories. We don't follow bus drivers on Twitter and shit. When Amazon was doing that shit, it was that one dude that had a pretty charismatic approach, and people liked that one black dude, but they didn't really care. They were still ordering for Amazon. They wanted their packages there the next day.
Correct.
And the difference is we do so much celebrity worship and entertainment gorging in America, this is the thing we care about. We care about this. We care about sports. We care. So when those industries have a break or shut down, we'll care about this more than the fucking cars. So don't blame the actors and the writers for that shit. You don't care about those people. Don't fake throw them up to try to act like this is different. No. You haven't looked for the stories of the Detroit people organizing. They don't have the podcast. They don't have the TV show you watch. Okay, you don't buy a car every week. You don't binge their content, even when you claim to hate it. You don't spend all the money on their streaming services and shit. So the truth of the matter is, we do care more about this superficial bullshit. So this is why you're paying attention in the union speak now, because it's hitting you in the one area you give a fuck.
Right.
But yeah, she goes on to say, all I know is a lot of people who have entertained us and brightened our days are having a difficult time and are worried about an uncertain future. Hope something gets worked out. Yeah, and for the record, I feel that way. Matter of fact, great news, because I brought it up, I think, this episode. The restaurants relented in California, and it looks like restaurant workers, through their organizing, are about to get a $20 an hour minimum salary in California.
Let's go.
That's fast food restaurant workers.
Let's go.
I love that shit.
Let's go.
Because that was the compromise that was reached, because the restaurants were lobbying against these causes.
Of course, because they don't want to pay.
But people stuck together enough for them to say, fuck it, $20,
Right, because they was like, we can't keep having all these walkouts. We can't keep having McDonald's just shut down in the middle of a lunch rush because people are like, motherfucker, you don't pay me. Fuck them fries.
And I'm sure $20 is probably not enough of some. I don't know enough. I know California cost of living is high mostly. I don't know enough, but it's got to be better than whatever the fuck it was before. So good.
Yes, it is more than minimum wage.
Apia says, I understand the people who strike completely. The money is there. It's just distributed in an unfair way. People who produce the product are struggling, while the CEOs, as far as I've seen, all men, are getting super rich. We should save them from themselves. We see what happens to men who are becoming billionaires. Just look at Elon. They are not doing well. They don't know what to do with themselves and want to fight in cages. I would still like to comment on this page. Even if I'm a white, genetically mostly Eastern European woman, please don't take it away from me. My life is hard with the big pharma and the housework and other stuff. Not the hardest, I know.
We won't take it away.
The job rigor, it sounds like a trap. It even looks like a trap. I just looked it up. I don't know what it was. Is this a real job or some kind of trick?
It's a real job.
Well, it's some kind of trick for them black people that got that racism thrown at them.
Yes, it was, but it's a real job.
EVE says Bill Maher is an asshole and has been for a very long time. I think he actually understands the gravity of the writer's plight, but he doesn't care because the strike is inconveniencing him.
Right.
Yeah, he's very I was with Black Lives Matter until they protested and interrupted my brunch type of energy. Like, he got that kind of energy to me, and I'm sorry, I can't fuck with that. It's so I think I've just had too many bad experiences with white people that, not even white people, but people who seem to be cool till it was some shit that bothered them, and then it was like, nah, fuck this.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. There's certain causes I can understand that, but when it's someone's humanity, it feels like the wrong place to pull this shit.
Right.
And he's done that several times over the years with a bunch of different issues that I feel are like that. And keep in mind, he came to prominence because he was a contrarian. And I think I feel this myself somewhat. The new contrarian point of view is this kind of, well, it's not new for white people, but this is new for the white people of the left to try to pull the like libertarian shit. It's actually not even that new, but you know what I mean? Like, that's his contrarianism is, well, I smoke weed, I fuck black prostitutes, clearly I'm a cool guy, and I happen to have a bunch of conservative views as well, and I don't like Black Lives Matter, and I don't like millennials, and I don't like this. So like, you know, I'm kind of just giving it to everybody. You can't pin me down, but to me, he just sounds like a Republican that smokes weed at this point. Thanks for breaking down what the strike is about. I was already pro WGA, but I learned some things I wasn't really already aware of. Well, I'm glad it helped.
Yay.
Let's see. Comments on YouTube. The home I create, heart emoji. John John says, Rod, those edibles must have really been hitting, and it's a 5-second clip of the show, which I'll try to play the clip, because you can take YouTube and say, like, look at the clip from this moment to this moment. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so from here to here.
Much money, it's some drugs, some kingpin, some gangster, a setup. You better return that shit in. They gonna come after you.
Worthington says it felt like he wanted to.
Child.
You know, the drugs must have been.
You like to miss that much when I say that.
Yeah, that's just a window into our regular everyday.
Ain't it though?
I do that all the time, Karen. I just normally don't do it on the podcast. $1,000 cash laying in the parking lot, so he decided to keep it.
Child, I be telling people that. That's hilarious.
I was just acting stupid, guys. Jinxful says, one of the most nefarious things about systems of oppression is how they make it so easy for the oppressed to turn our anger towards each other instead of the oppressor. Mm-hmm. Everyone across the multiple job types and industry talks about having bad work situations, being overworked and underpaid, et cetera, et cetera. But as soon as one group decides to fight for better conditions, everyone else jumps on them. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, workers versus workers. I don't understand it.
It's also why I think so many of us find unemployment and being laid off to be isolating, because we're not coming together based off that experience. We're looking at it like duck, duck, goose. Like, oh, your turn to be the duck or whatever the fuck. We're not, like, yeah, I remember being laid off, and that was a very lonely feeling, and it messed with my self-esteem and my self-worth to a certain extent. And I had to like build myself back up from all that. Mm-hmm. And it took a long time. It wasn't like I did anything wrong. But yeah, I don't need that. And then on top of that, some motherfucker telling me like, you entitled bitch. At least you don't work at Wendy's or whatever. It's like, what are you talking about?
Right. And particularly here in America, the way we look at work, your worth and who you are. And for some people, even their identity is tied to their job. And that's particularly when you're younger, that's very, very dangerous. Young people have a tendency to buy into we're family and all this other bullshit that they try to pump into you and indoctrinate you into that bullshit, but it's not real at all, because you're not family. Family can't fire you from a job unless you work for your family, and shit like that. So it's one of those things to where we already look at work that way. And let's say you get laid off by under no fault of your own. People have a tendency, they don't want to share. They don't want to tell nobody. It's almost like a death when you tell somebody you lost your job, and studies and statistics have shown that when most people get laid off, for a lot of people, they say their health goes up. They start losing weight. They start getting healthier. They'll start spending more time with their kids. They'll start vacationing. A lot of people will start their own businesses. They talk about all these positive things that can come out from people, losing their jobs for whatever reason. But nobody ever talks about that part of it. Everybody always talks about the woe is me. And also a lot of people rush to other jobs because in this country, if you're not working, quote unquote, what the fuck are you doing with your life? When you literally need to take the time, that's the best time. Bet it out. Determine, what? I've been interviewing you shit, bitch.
That's if you have those privileges, correct, those luxuries.
If you have those
everybody
luxuries,
don't have that shit. And
agreed.
And the way shit is getting so cutthroat now, you're not getting the severance people used to get. You don't have the unemployment undergirding society the way it used to in a lot of states. It's just
shout out to Republicans.
Yeah, it's very fucked up. So yeah, it's instead of it being a unifying thing of a bunch of people coming together in a bunch of industries with all these layoffs and being like, man, this is some fuck shit. Instead, it's like, you weren't even going into the office every week or something. And you're just like, why are we worried about that?
Right.
we've been conditioned to lack empathy and understanding for the people right next to us. It's so wild. As y'all mentioned, the major corporations who we know are exploitative and we will call them out for it when it affects our pockets do not get any of this energy from folks. I don't really understand it. I think you were onto something with the contrarian comment, Rob, because I can definitely see that being part of it. Maybe some people are just so addicted to being contrarian for views that they aren't even thinking about it like that. This is just an opportunity for them to generate content. Yeah, that's just what the internet is for a lot of people now. It's a content machine. It's nothing's real. No person is real. It's just what's an angle to get the views. I saw some folks on social media influencer content creation spaces talking down on the strike when I'm willing to put money on it that they've complained about the monetization of these different platforms. Yeah, we all live at the whims of that shit. It's funny when you see a content creator talk like that because almost all those content creator people would like to be in the industry. And a lot of them feel like, here's my chance to slam these people who I feel like are ahead of me for no reason.
Correct.
And who I feel like I'm competing with. And they have more resources than I do because of unions. And I think I think that's what a lot of this stuff boils down to. I remember feeling things like I would say certain things on the show about certain people and certain topics. And while I do find some of the shit they do and say to be reprehensible, I was like, oh man, I'm spending a lot of my podcast talking about their podcast. And I stopped that shit.
Yep.
Because basically what that means to me is I'm saying this person's ahead of me. They're a news source. They're better than me. I'm also low-key jealous. I want to be that. I want, but they're not talking about me. I'm talking about them.
Right.
So like, what am I doing? Like, how am I distinguishing myself? I don't want to be the person that is fundamentally reliant on this person's content to make mine. And that is kind of what social media and a lot of stuff has become. It's funny talking to JL the next day when we talked about TikTok, but that's even the people that just do TikToks hating on somebody else's TikTok is still relying on that original person's content to make content. So, I'm aware of it. Everything's derivative to some extent, but I think you need to know your motivations of what you're deriving. Is it a jealousy motivation? Is it an envy motivation? Are you angry about your own shit and you taking it out on other people?
Right.
You got to know that stuff because it matters a lot.
Right. And that causes self-reflection. And I've realized, I said this before and I say this again, people don't like to self-reflect, because self-reflect requires change. Self-reflect requires, I need to fix this shit. But a lot of people like sitting in a broken ass situation and they're happy with it being broken. It won't get fixed until you decide to put the shit back together again.
I also wonder if jealousy plays a role too. People see others putting in the work to make changes for themselves, and maybe they get upset because they don't have the gall to do it themselves. We've been conditioned in this country to be anti-union, so I'm sure that impacts this as well. I remember being confused growing up because everything I learned about the union said that they were meant to help protect workers, but I would get fed by the media, and I think even in school, this cherry-picked information that tried to claim that actually the unions are the worst thing ever for workers. Yep. And like I said, I worked in an industry that had unions. I do understand the quote unquote downsides and the inconveniences and stuff, like, cause unions don't play. Like, I remember the California port had a union when I worked in logistics. And let me tell you, man, if they told you they going on break at 2, nigga, don't call it 201. Don't call it 159 if we being real. They are gone.
And break.
They on break and they'll be back when the fuck they say. So you might have some type of emergency. And if it was a non-unionized job, there's it'd be flexibility, but they're not even really allowed flexibility. So like they might want to help you and be like, oh man, I know it's an emergency. You need me to get back to you in the next half hour. They can't because the unions have demanded, no motherfucker, we putting the damn computers away at 2 o'clock and we not picking them up till 2:25 because that's what we negotiated. And I'm not complaining about that. So before any feel any need to defend it, I'm not complaining about it. It's a reality. I got used to it. You just start to learn. Don't ever call these niggas at 2, but you can call anywhere else that don't got a union, and more than likely a person would try to help you out if it's an emergency, right? My point being, whatever happened was so bad before, they forced them people to negotiate that shit, and they're sticking to it. And so, yeah, there's some downsides. all this type of shit. But honestly, I'd rather deal with those downsides and know that those employees are making a living wage than to feel like I'm exploiting and adding to the exploitation of these people.
Right. I can guarantee you the biggest reason why they take, and they probably make everybody go at the same time. Guarantee you people probably working and not taking their breaks. They was like, you know what? Everybody go take their break, and we not gonna have nobody talk about they ain't take their motherfucking break.
Whatever the reason was, it didn't come out of nowhere. Everything that's in the union contract came from somebody exploiting it on the corporate side,
right?
And then we blame them. Like, why these motherfuckers got to get an hour and a half lunch break? It's like because somebody was making sure they didn't take a lunch break, but maybe charging them on a lunch break and then not paying them for the fucking for the work.
Yes.
So yeah, this is what happens. Okay, if it wasn't for motherfuckers throwing chimney sweeps into the coal mine or whatever, fuck, that analogy's all fucked up. But y'all know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. Michael says, the thing that I've been most surprised to learn about the strike is how many regular people basically think that art should be free to begin with. Like, there are real people who watch movies, TV, and listen to music who think it's somehow gross that the artists be rewarded for their art. I made a thing for my company. I don't get paid extra for it. It's sad how many people don't get it. Yeah, and honestly, dog, what's crazy about that? It's affected us as artists. So many artists are down on their own worth. They don't like, if I could tell you how many people I know that put in hard work to make something that if a corporation made it, we'd be like, oh my God, that's so impressive. And we'd expect to pay for it because nothing from a corporation is supposed to be free.
Nothing.
But I remember, perfect example, us doing this podcast before the Spotify deal, before Spotify for podcasters, any of that stuff. We were doing this podcast and there were people, fans, other podcasters that you would listen to what they would say a podcast should do. And they'd be like, oh, it should be this long. No commercials, no ads, no this, no that. No subscription fee. No, I said, now when the fuck am I supposed to get paid?
For my labor.
Last time I checked, this is goddamn work. Now you might be laughing your balls off somewhere, going up, lips off, whatever y'all have under there. You might be laughing them off down there, but it took work to make it so you could laugh. Took research, took jokes, took hours, took equipment, took utilities.
It's not free for me.
Took hosting fees, took a bunch of shit, took my time,
equipment,
all this stuff you need, right, to make this thing happen. And I would listen to actual podcasters talk themselves out of asking for even like a donation. And then, I have no shows. A lot of them not around.
They defunct.
They never got that money because they never thought they should ask for money. They never got their worth.
And then got mad because they didn't have the money. Well, you never asked for it.
You never got your worth. You never asked for your worth. And keep in mind, yeah, you can ask for your worth and still not get it. That happens all the fucking time. But it was something internal that we had accepted. That like, yeah, man, it should be like free. My work should not be monetized. And that's why I'll be putting ads in this shit. I've never hesitated or felt bad about putting an ad in this show. Not once.
Not once.
Because it's my job.
Because bitch, it ain't free.
Before it was my job, it was work. And I like being paid for my work. And to me, this is the easiest way to get paid for a lot of people because it's like all you had to do was either listen to a couple seconds of somebody try to sell you something or fast forward past a couple seconds of somebody. But the point is you didn't really have to do much and I still made all this shit. So I think it's sad to see it even affect us, the creators.
Correct. And like I said, and it boils down to most people feel like everybody else shit should be free. But when I show up to motherfucking work, I want my paycheck to be there, be on their own time, and not be with a delay. For my labor, everything that I do, I will the motherfucker get paid for. But you, I'm not gonna pay you for your music. I'm not gonna pay you for nothing. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. If people do this shit, they're creative, and even if it's something creative, because even you in your job, even in you in your office job, people don't consider those jobs creative. But some of the policies and rules and procedures, somebody had to come up with a creative idea to get that shit implemented. But
the
people
other
don't
thing,
look at it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think also when you talk your own value down, you stop I think it's almost like a protection.
Mhm.
Like that'll stop me from feeling so hurt when the people don't show up or when the thing isn't paid for, the company doesn't value me because I already talked my shit down and said I wasn't nothing. I also think getting shit from like Napster and shit just changed. It changed people for the worse in a way that we'll never undo
You'll
that.
never recover from.
I know we all have fond memories of that those times, but it was essentially mass theft that did not, as much as we tried to lie and make it about it, or people tried to lie and make these arguments, we were just stealing because it costs less than paying for people's work. And we turned it into it's about the record companies, and we turned it into it's about them not paying their artists. But at the end of the day, we were just stealing the shit because it was cheap and it was free and it was easy. And I think it changed something with fans forever, where there's a lack of appreciation for the talent and the art that they're given, or that they take. Yes. Because they don't see it as actual like value. Once you steal something, it's a lot less valuable to you.
Right. And also you have a generation of people that will, particularly on the internet, will boldly and proudly tell you that they have the right to have your shit for free and get mad when you charge a shit like that. But I'm like, but nigga, like the fuck? Everything can't be for free.
That's the Spotify thing in you. And it's funny because that's the Napster, right? And it's funny because if I came out and said, hey, Warner Brothers is making my podcast, you'd be like, well, how much does it cost?
Right.
But when I go, I'm making my podcast, you're like, so it's free, right? Anyway, the poll. Do you think the writers are making kooky demands? Yes or no? Shout out to Bill Maher who said that. 100% no on our website. 96% no on Spotify. 4% yes. Let's check the comments, which were, if you aren't black, if your skin is not brown, if you are not melanated, then you do not have the right to come under our podcast talking.
Hilarious.
Okay, we had to let them know. Okay, because it's true. We don't want to hear that shit. Come over here playing. Well, the comments were, Aaron says, who is a white woman, may I please have permission to fix my pasty fingers to comment on your podcast episode?
That's hilarious.
Dr. Uzo says, the arguments against the WGA sound like the white folks arguing against racial equality. Just because Oprah exists doesn't mean racial discrimination is over or any country.
Right.
In this or any country. Shay Bay says, say it again, sis. So she agreed with the don't leave no comments. Myra says, it's always a treat when we get the full version of Effing with Black People song. I always replay the song twice. The full hymn just put me in a good mood before being pissed off. It really is.
It's about.
Listen, Felt 5 did his motherfucking thing.
Put his foot in it, didn't he?
Okay. Jay Adamo says, Rod, can you speak on how you were able to have Game Theory pay your LLC rather than you? Does that give benefit in you not getting hit with more taxable income as an individual? Shout out to Jay Adamo with the serious question. So yes, it does help me to not have more taxable income as an individual because that all that stuff will come out of the LLC. So so I still get paid through the LLC, which is like in North Carolina. So I'm still paying them taxes, not the New York City taxes. Whereas if they wrote that check directly to me with no taxes taken out, my man, I don't know what the fuck I would do. I don't know what I would do. Anyway, so that's part of it. And yeah, the way to do it, I just had to fill out a different type of form. It was like one extra form. I just had to ask the HR people like multiple times, like, hey, I'm not trying to get paid individually. How do I get my LLC? And it's funny because you would think it would be super complicated, and they did kind of make it seem a little intimidating, where it's like, well, you sure we're paying everybody else this way? And it's like, yes, I'm sure. I would like the form. And well, you got to fill out this thing. Please send me the thing.
Right.
I'll fill out whatever you need me to fill. Well, are you sure it's a blank corporation and not a dis corporation? I had to send them like a paper from the IRS of like when we established the corporation to be like, this is the type of corporation that you can pay.
And all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was like a S corp or something like that, but you can also file to have your company changed to a certain corp. If it's like that dire where you're like, hey, like where they go, oh, we can't pay a partnership, we can pay an LLC. Then you can write the IRS and say, hey, tax me as an LLC, not a partnership. They write you back an approval, and then it takes time now, especially now they're so behind. But the point being, you can make it happen, and it's one of those things that the LLC is beneficial for, man. It really is. Now, there's a bunch of rules and stuff about the money and how to pay yourself and all this stuff you got to know, but to me it's very beneficial to be able to at least have the option, because the game is not set up for artists to really get rich doing art unless you are in that top like 1% of people,
right?
And I guarantee you that top 1%, they doing everything I just told you and way more.
Yes, they are.
They got people who hold
tax like everybody else.
They got people whose whole job is to make sure that they straight.
They count every dollar going in, every dollar going out.
Kadian just leaves 4 dress dancing emojis. Carrie says, and that's on Marcus Garvey with 6 black power fist emojis or punching emojis. So I guess don't come under the comments, white people. All right, next one is Low Value Fans. We had JL Covan as the guest, 4 comments. Apia says, dating a 14-year-old as an adult is very creepy. Imagine saying to your partner, since we started dating, you have grown so much. I mean, physically, 1.5 inches. I'll buy you some new pants from the teen section on our anniversary, my partner in life. Yeah, man, that was one of those like moments on my Facebook page where I'm like, is this person just trying to be contrarian? Do they really believe this? Do they understand how much they're not actually making sense and that they're trying to have it both ways and kind of skipping around in their logic department? But, I think the difference is if this had even been 5 or 6 years ago, I probably would have blocked that person off my page. I probably would have wrote some long shit about them, maybe even passive aggressively talked about them on my page later and shit. And I know a lot of people still do that stuff and they don't think anything's wrong with it. And that's fine for them, But for me, that meant I was in a bad place. And that woman is allowed to disagree. I think is whack, but I also didn't think she was like trying to be malicious or like purposely mean. I think patriarchy has fucked us up.
Yes, it has.
And there's shit that will go, well, that was back in the day, and not put that much thought into it. There's she didn't seem to have a problem with it. And it's like, yeah, that doesn't mean societally we should be okay. And
they're still a child. What are we talking about?
Yeah. And at the same time, I also understood her impulses of, I don't want to say being contrarian, but kind of the impulse to go away from the mob pile on mentality, because I have that too, where it's like, yeah, because like other people were bringing up other shit in that thread that I was like, I didn't say it, but I was like, yeah, I don't think that's the same. Like, it's like, what about Jay-Z and Beyonce? Yeah, I don't think that's the same. I think she was a grown woman by the time they started dating.
Right.
I don't find that to be the same as dating a fucking 14-year-old
child.
I forget who else. People brought up Drake and Millie Bobby Brown. They're not dating.
They are not.
So I don't know what to say about that. I always find that to be more creepy that people want that to be something sexual with no evidence than for it to be sexual. It's then like for it to be what it like, because he also was a child actor. So if he could be mentoring another child actor and it's not creepy unless we decide he wants to fuck her and this is a sexual thing that we don't have any evidence of, but it must be sexual, because how could it not be? To me, I don't find that to be the same. Maybe one day we will have some sort of evidence to that and I'll look back and go, damn, he was creepy the whole time. But I don't assume, I'm not going to assume that feels weird to me.
Right. And the example that needs to be made, niggas fall out about that when you start talking about R. Kelly and Aaliyah. That's the better example, but people don't want to talk about that because people are
when
kind of split with that bullshit.
When R. Kelly example came up, this person explained it away by saying, well, it's different because he kept doing it with other girls. So that's why that was R. Kelly is different than Elvis. Like if R. Kelly would have just been with Aaliyah, that would have been somehow okay and acceptable. So once again, I didn't agree with this person's logic and thought it was very flawed. But my point being, at this point, man, I feel like I don't know how people can be on the other side of this one, but it's just one of those like, okay, fine. I hope you're never in a position to have a say so in a situation like this. I hope you're never in a jury over a case like this. I hope your niece or nephew or daughter doesn't bring some grown ass man home and you go, it's all good with me, you know. So hopefully that, you know, this person just didn't want to say they love Elvis or and instead just said some things that I found to be not very well thought out. Kanye's wife looks always like a hostage in the photos, and the stuff she has to wear seems very questionable. From the outside, she seems like his doll, but what do I know? Maybe they have a healthy, respectful relationship. Doubt it. Yeah, whenever I see them out together, I just think some people trade shit for what they want in life. And if she is happy making the trade of kind of being a public sex doll, because that's what I think Kanye wants us to think about her. I'm not saying she is those things, but I think he's been very open about his kind of controlling fantasy of what a woman is. And I think the money and the fame, people want that shit. The last woman was like that too. I don't think any of these people care about his mental health other than actually probably the Kardashians, probably the last group of people that actually gave a fuck about his mental health as much as people try to vilify those women.
Right.
The help they tried to get him when he was spiraling and he rejected that help and started talking about being a black man and shit. And people fell for that. But I think they're the only people that kind of seem to have a vested interest in his mental health. But these other motherfuckers, I mean, feel how you want to feel about it. You know, I think it's kind of disgusting, but I think they just look at him, see a pile of money, see a bunch of cameras and go, fuck it, this is my claim to fame. I highly doubt that there's some type of deep romantic anything there. It just seems like, listen, if he says, I just wear this shit so my titties are out, that's what the fuck I got to do. That's what'll keep me around. Carmen says, I can't see any rationale for adult dating someone in their 20s and older preying on a 14-year-old. Creepy as hell in the 50s is creepy as hell in the 2020s. Freaky bastard. People putting that man on a pedestal, ignoring that glaring that glaring character trait blows my mind. I don't know. I think people like a lot of motherfuckers that have shit like this. And that's the point I think that woman wanted to make on my page, but she just kind of started getting into some murky territory. But she could have made a much stronger case of just, y'all love Marvin Gaye. Y'all like she could have just named a bunch of motherfuckers that people do not have an issue with that clearly did horrific shit to girls and women.
Yes, they did.
And we just go, well, that was James Brown. I don't know what to tell you. And we don't have that same hatred and with that same energy. And it is true. And it is hypocritical. And because no human being can keep the same energy with everybody all the time.
I agree.
So I think she would have made a stronger case, but instead it turned into 14 was 20 back then. You know,
they don't work like that.
Keith says, whenever I'm listening, Keith says, whenever I'm listening to the Blackout Tips episode in the car, the next time I get in the car, my phone connects and picks up right where it left off. I was picking up this model to do a photo shoot with for her. Photography is a side hustle I'm getting into, and we were making some promo content for her Instagram. She saw this episode title come up on the screen in my car and started chuckling. I explained why the episode was titled that and said what JL had said. She started laughing harder and said, yes, exactly. I relate to that so hard. I feel just like him. Yeah. That is sad though. If you're an IG model, or actually we don't know what her content was on IG. I know you said she's a model and it was a photo shoot, but so I'm assuming she's a model of some type. There's nothing worse if you're an IG model, because the whole thing with IG models is they're so beautiful and attractive and we all want to be around them and be with them.
Right.
And everybody's in their DMs and all the people want to fly them out and all blah, blah, blah. It would suck if you were like, I'm in your town, and then people was like, oh man, why it had to be Tuesday? Like, nigga, what? This your one opportunity to shoot your shot with the dream person you've been liking every photo, wanting to see whatever it is they got on, and now you're like, you're treating them like that. JL Covan doing stand up, and that's terrible.
That's not good at all.
No one should have to
live through that.
No one should have to live through a JL Covan doing stand up in your town treatment. Mm-hmm. No one.
Nobody.
Not even JL should have to deal with
Not
that.
even your worst enemy, no.
But yeah, IG model with people saying shit, that actually make a funny ass sketch. Just could they I want to see what the IG, because I know it probably happens. I bet the IG model have comments that are also, instead of punching up their jokes, they're like punching up their pictures and shit. Like, girl, no, you should have twerked in a handstand. That's what would have really set it off. Honestly, modesty is the new sexy for me.
It's a new version.
Evie says, I love to hear a special segment dedicated to all the tour boys who got sentenced and cried. Oh, I think you mean the Proud Boys. They deserve every bit of those sentences and more. Fuck them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then on YouTube, check the comments here. Mwangangi says, shout out to us high value fans.
Not the high value.
And then someone just asked, quick question, Rod, Karen, would a virtual version of the September 9th show be available on demand? I may not be able to stream it due to lot in live due to some commitments I have, but wanted to support y'all and still be able to watch it later. Is that possible? Thanks. And I said, plans to had a video for later as well, which it is. You can watch it on YouTube. So just simple for everybody.
Yep.
The poll was Elvis and Priscilla. Creepy back then, creepy only now, never creepy at all. On our website,
creepy back then.
94% of people agree with Karen. It was creepy even back then. 6% say creepy, but only now. 0% say it was never creepy.
Shout out to our fans.
Yeah, and then for the poll on Spotify, 87% say creepy back then. 13% say creepy only now. 0% say not creepy ever. So the Q&A, you never want Woody Allen on your side.
No, you don't.
Kadian says, when Woody is on your side, it's time to pick up the piano and head out the juke joint.
Oh, gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
I love that clip.
James says, especially when you have a pic of Jorge Vilda groping a female coaching staff, Luis Rubiales' mother doing a hunger strike at a church, and Rubiales' uncle saying his arrogant sexist nephew ain't shit. I just feel like those a bunch of words that I'm not going to remember who those people are. But
I know I'm not.
I know, but I do know the scandal you're talking about. I just don't know the players in it enough to be like, James dropping them bars.
Shout out to the handful of people go, I know exactly what they're talking about.
I'm sure you are dropping bars, though.
Mm-hmm.
Carrie says, it's a list of folks who co-sign will hurt more than it help. Woody Allen is high on that list. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Amen. All right, let's go to the final episode of the week, which is episode 2767, the Blackout Tips Live 2023. We had 3 comments on it. And Pamela says, yo, Customer Wars. We started watching that immediately after the live show. Now, some of those things I'd either seen or heard about courtesy of Black Twitter CSI. Me too. A lot of them. But there's nothing like seeing it on the big screen. Listen, because we need that. All of us.
A lot of it was new to me. I'm not going to lie.
Somehow heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
In a place like this.
Dazzling images on the silver screen.
Come on.
Sound that I can feel. Anyway, thanks. Can y'all tell that I say that every time we go to the movies? Can y'all tell?
And I salute. It's hilarious. Me and Roger, I salute the screen every time she comes up.
Thanks for the heads up. Live show was fantastic. I hope you all had fun. I know I did, Pamela. Yeah, we had a great time.
We had a great time.
Also, because I have the Zoom link, I can technically go back and watch y'all's chat. So I think I'm going to take time at some point and watch this, what y'all said about the show.
Right, because we can't see that live.
Yeah, because live, we're just doing our thing, and I'm just hoping y'all having a good time.
Right, I hope y'all are too.
But I'm glad you did, and thank you for listening. And yes, Customer Wars is Krizak, okay? Mwangangi says, dope live show. The chat was who you thought we was. I know it. I had almost forgotten the smooth casualness of Justin's fuckery, but he brought his A game. Anyway, love y'all and us. Thanks. Listen, love Justin, and it's a hard job to do what he does, you know, because he comes in says a bunch of shit that is on the line, but almost never over the line. And doesn't mind me correcting him and pushing him back in line and making jokes about it. And doesn't mind Karen doing it as well. So.
And particularly me and Justin get in sync. Boy, I feel bad for Rod.
Mm-hmm. Ramsey says, I'm one proud play cousin. I waited too late to get a virtual ticket. 5 stars. It's all good. I knew some of y'all would. Come on. I knew. But also, like, Friday was weird because I thought everyone would have to the end of Friday. But it really was more like once Friday got here, they took that link off of the website for tickets, and you had to call and get them. We put up a special
people would call
thing on the podcast feed for y'all, and people did call and get tickets. We saw the sale numbers after, but yeah, it was a bit of a miscommunication on our side. And then let's see on YouTube. Now these comments are gonna be a little different because obviously those of y'all that left comments on our website probably heard the podcast. People on YouTube saw the podcast.
Okay.
And much like the Instagram and all this stuff, they only cared about one thing. Chi-Chi says, Karen's hair, heart eyes emoji. Julie says, Karen, your hair is awesome.
Oh.
S. Carter says, come through with the flowing pics, Karen. I see you. You look beautiful. Thank y'all for letting us freeload to see this. Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. Another person says, congratulations. Lakita says, look at Karen's hair. Stunning. Hard eyes emoji. Oh man, cute too, I guess. Laughing emoji. I'm sorry I missed it, but crossing my fingers there will be more. Yeah, we do plan to do more. My mom says, awesome show. Alicia says, I just wanted to say Karen is beautiful. Hard eyes emoji. You make me want to go natural again. Great show. Thank you. Absurd Spoonful says, you both look great. Heart, congrats. Congratulations on another successful live show, you too. Thank you. Shay says, 1, Karen looks beautiful. 2, I feel like such a freeloader for watching this on YouTube. 3, thanks for all the wonderful years of podcast and shenanigans. Y'all are the best. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know that I'll do it as soon the next time or something. I have to think about it, but it just felt like, look, man, eventually y'all are going to see this. We want y'all to have the experience. It's fun. I know people couldn't be there for whatever reason. I still feel like watching it live is its own experience and benefit, especially with the chat room, especially with the games and the giveaway prizes. And there's a lot of decisions we make sometimes on the show and with our money stuff where it's like, we just hope our listeners got us and that we don't have to like enforce it. We don't have to like always be on everybody's ass. Like, don't be stealing our shit, you know? And it's less of a headache for me. And it honestly was a little tough, man, because I'm just as much indoctrinated into this capitalist society as y'all. And I thought the only way to fucking be sure you're going to make money is to fucking be on people's ass and make sure they don't take your shit. Make sure they're not stealing and sharing shit. And honestly, I just don't really do that for the most part. I just hope people would, you know, have some appreciation for the value of our work. And for the most part, enough people have, and we've been able to get by on more than get by on that. So yeah, so I thought about all that before putting this episode out and was like, fuck it, man, put it out. Hopefully people enjoy it. And plus, y'all need to just get into this hair, okay? I tried to tell y'all about the limp. I tried to tell you she had itches. They didn't believe me.
Because most of the time my hair is actually just pulled back. And so most people don't really, even in the chat, you might see my puffs, you know, if depends on how your mom does my hair. And most of the time I don't even realize the length of my hair most of the time because I am a lazy natural. I'm like, child, put it back.
Yeah, and like we're gonna have pictures and stuff, and people were leaving comments on the pictures, and you know, some of the comments like, sorry, Rob, but you know, Karen was looking good. I'm like, why would you be sorry to me? I know she looked good. Okay, I'm cooking these meals. I'm in here cleaning. I'm doing my thing.
Yeah, shout out to your mom. She actually did a great job on my makeup because, child, I don't know nothing about no makeup, nothing. Me and Roger had to go to Fenty, and I had to get a match and some lip gloss and stuff like that, because I don't be knowing. And child, she made me look like somebody.
Yeah, so one dude did go too far. Like, I can't wait for your man to be out of town, ha ha ha. And I once again, this ain't 5-6 years ago. I'm not insecure about it at all. So I was just like, oh yeah, like, you got me. And then he just kept going, and I was like, hey, I thought you were joking earlier, but now it's kind of getting a little weird.
Right.
And then he was like, oh nah, I'm just joking. I'm a fan, because like when I was like, haha, he was like, the first comment was like, well, you lucky I don't live, because I'll catch a flight. I said, unless you're a fucking rapist, I would hope that you understand that Karen is a woman that makes her own choices and an autonomous human being that doesn't know you and will probably feel like you scared the hoes flying from
Please don't scare the hoes.
another state unannounced because you saw her natural hair down for the first time. And at the end, he's like, well, a lot doesn't come across with tone and stuff on the internet because I'm laughing and I'm just messing with you. And I said, I feel you. And I just left it at that. But what he don't recognize, and this happens all the time because we put this product out into the earth, I don't know you. And there are crazy people for real out there.
There are creeps out there.
And even though we have a public platform, saying something like, well, you don't want to put your wife out there, you might be cool and be able to joke like that, and I can go, oh, this guy's just joking. But because we don't know each other, I don't know if you're just fucking crazy, And then I'm like, I guess I'll have to kill a nigga one day. Just randomly, like a Highlander. I'd be like, I came for Karen. I'm like, well, I guess this today.
Today is the day.
One of us has to leave the earth because I don't know you like that. So, yeah, but yeah, we put the podcast out. They feel like they know us,
correct,
to know our sense of humor. But since I don't know you, like me and Justin don't even really joke like that, Like it took years for us to even make like kind of conservative jokes like that. Like, so anyway, it was just funny to me. But at the same time, I'm not mad. I saw people about to go off in the person's mentions and shit. I didn't encourage any of that. I feel very secure, I'm glad that y'all can show Karen some love and appreciation for her being so beautiful.
Yay!
And all that stuff. But
thank you.
I hate to tell you this, I've been new. That's what
I'm and you know what? I remember when your mama finished my makeup and looking in the mirror and stuff, I was like, I am pretty. And I thought about it. I noticed I'm not even gonna say that. Over the weekend, I remembered how I used to view myself to how I view myself now. Shout out to age, shout out to maturity, shout out to learning to love yourself, shout out to I feel as though I'm my own Beyonce in my own world. Like I'm the only one, bitch, it's me. Mm-hmm. And I got to love me no matter what. And I am very, truth be told, proud of myself that I can look in the mirror after all these years and actually be like, Karen, you are beautiful. And believe it. Karen, you are gorgeous and all this stuff. Say it out loud and not just say it just because, but say it and believe it within my soul, and you couldn't tell me otherwise, because I know there are so many people out there that do not believe that about themselves, just across the board, regardless of gender and all that stuff. They just do not believe that they are beautiful and they are worthy to be loved and all that type of stuff. They just don't believe it. They don't believe they'll ever find love or they'll never find, the right person, or people, depending on the relationship that you're looking for. And so I appreciate that for the first time ever in my life, I feel that way and truly within my soul feel that way, because I hadn't always felt that way, particularly, and I know my family didn't mean no harm, and I know they was joking and things like that. But, when you grow up and, you hear people, joke and tell you, you're not pretty and you're ugly and shit like that, kids take that shit to heart, and they really take it to heart. Like, I remember, waking up in the middle of the night as a kid thinking I wasn't worthy, asking myself why, what was my purpose? Why was I here? And shit like that, just because my self-esteem was so low, and I appreciate having people around me to really help me love myself. And I'm not talking about no fake love. I mean, truly love myself, regardless of how big I am, how small I am, how many blemishes I may have, how many, rolls and wrinkles, how many scars I might have on my body, and just being comfortable enough in my own skin to be like, I look good, I am pretty. And if you want me, you got to take me as I am. I remember, before I actually, even I think it's right around the time I started dating you, my mama used to get angry at me because she's the complete opposite of me. She's very well, my aunt who raised me, who I call mama, she's very a small and petite woman, and she's a very clean woman. Like, she's like that church hat going woman who dressed to impress type of thing. And so she had her own, as an adult, I understand that she had her own insecurities about weight and all that type of stuff. And I picked up on a lot of those things. And as an adult, I realized what love language is. And, I have the love language of, speak positively into me and pour into me, and I will flourish. And she didn't understand that was the way to get me to quote unquote do certain things. She used negative reinforcement. I'm a positive reinforcement person. And when you negative reinforce me, I'm on of an adult now, so I understand. But as a kid, when you negative reinforce me, I didn't know. I would get mad, I would get bitter, I would get angry, and I would just do the fucking opposite just to say fuck you. Because I was like, how dare you, do these things to me? So growing up and being picked about my size, my weight, what I ate, and my hair being nappy, and all these types of insecurities that I've had to, deal with, getting to the point of people actually recognizing that I'm beautiful, me actually recognizing that I'm beautiful. And, particularly with my hair being natural, I think when my hair went natural for the first time, I've actually begun to love myself even more. I love myself, but like the love went to another level. I'm just speaking for me personally, because my hair I was like, oh, this is the way my hair grows, because I've never taken care of my hair in its natural form. It's always been laid, fried to the side and all that stuff. So, and I think that helped a lot. And for the first time, with my hair being natural and makeup and things like that, I was like, I actually really do love myself, and I appreciate myself. And I've told you this before, but I appreciate you, Roger, because I remember when we first had started dating, you used to tell me, even years ago, when my mama used to pick at me, but I'm just going to tell you what she said. She said I used to quote unquote just like a boy. She used to tell me all the time she couldn't tell the difference between me and Roger, shit like that. Because what I would do, I wear a lot of baseball caps. I would wear a lot of baggy jeans. I wouldn't wear anything form-fitting. I hated dresses. I hated skirts, and I had got tired of attention to me. And I was like, you know what? If you going to see me, and this is like I said right before I started dating Roger, because like, if you're going to see me, you're going to have to really work for it. Because I was like, I'm not putting anything out there. I'm like, if you want me, you're going to have to see through the baseball child. I had to salt and pepper Tony Braxton. My hair was short. I just was like, fuck it. And Roger used to tell me all the time, he's like, Karen, you're beautiful. And I really would blow him out. Like, whatever, nigga. I would literally flat tell him, because I didn't believe him. But he told me that enough to the point that I started to believe him. And once I started to believe him, I really started to believe him, because he began to show me, in his actions and in the things that he did. And so I really love you, and I appreciate you for, loving me to the point that I could love myself like I did on that Saturday.
And that's why I'm not worried about some nigga flying from Oregon, breaking up our 30-year romance. But also, I was an old school Karen fan. I was a underground back when it was just still underground. And to be honest, I put you on the Karen. Okay, you wasn't that big a fan. I was like, nah, you got to go back and check out the albums. You got the early work is some of the best work. And I'm glad that we can finally be fans together now. We can go to all the concerts, get front row tickets.
Claire, get front row tickets, child. It's one of those things. I go, oh, when you find the artist, you be like, I don't understand the hype. Why is everybody hype about this? You put that bitch on and push play. You be like, oh shit, this is what everybody been talking about. Like, Lord, I've been behind, and you feel like you're catching up. So I appreciate that, and I do appreciate that, and I appreciate shout out to your mom and dad and Omri and stuff like that for coming out. That meant the world to me. Shout out to Terrence, the photographer. That really meant the world, to me, that they actually love us and show support. And also shout out to the fans that recognized them, because they was like, some people recognize us. I was like, yeah, because people actually see y'all when I do the videos, and when we take the Mother's Day and Father's Day pics, we actually upload that. And they was like, oh, okay. So shout out to y'all for recognizing them and things like that. And so we talked about that with them, and it was just a beautiful and fun experience.
Yeah, our fans always make me so proud. Even when y'all go see other comedians, other podcasts, people always tell us about y'all. We have so many crossover fans at this point. A person from Karen Hunter, a fan base.
Shout out to Karen Hunter. Like you said, you big in the Karen demographic, ain't you?
Yeah. So yeah, man, it was extremely fun. And just, everyone was so polite, respecting each other's space. I feel like what we make is a reflection of us, and I don't really use the words like community and stuff that often, because I feel like, it's kind of an overstatement of what we built. Like I would say we have like a fan base, but to some extent, with it being the size it is, it feels more like a community, because because people know each other. There's people that I look towards, like when I see them, I'm a fan of their stuff as well, or just a fan of like them online. And like seeing Danny do his bar impression. As soon as I seen him, that was the first thing I wanted to. I said, "Oh shit, no, I gotta hear the impression in person." And meeting Leonard Brothers' mom, who feels like, like I just through Leonard Brothers, I feel like I know his mom because of all the stuff he says about her on his social media.
Yes.
B Black coming from like out of the country to come see us, and telling him like, yo, check out Mert's Heart and Soul, because he wanted some good soul food to support like a Black owned business, and stuff. So going to dinner with Jackie and stuff, and Turk and Justin, and like kicking it for a second, like seeing Mudro, who just shows up and is always the most,
he's like a ghost,
introverted.
He's like,
person.
What's up? All right, I gotta holler at y'all later. All right.
Yeah, I relate to it so hard, because I'm very much like, at the show I would never do that, because obviously our show is for the fans and us. It's it would be fucking weird if I was like, actually I'm good, y'all go talk to Karen. But but I'm much more like him in real life, where it's like, I don't want no problem. I don't want to disturb anything. I want everybody to have a good time. And y'all don't gotta like shower me with attention. I just want to come over and say, hey, big fan, blah, blah, blah. And like, he like hopped on a plane, like took a picture with us, hopped on the plane. And Tanya W coming from fucking New York. I didn't even know she was coming.
Me either.
I was so shocked. I was like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I was like, you here, baby?
I'm used to seeing.
She was like, yes, I wouldn't miss it. She was like, I missed the last one.
I'm used to seeing her, the Three Guys On chat room.
Yes.
And I know she took us out to dinner in New York, but she lives in New York. So to me, it was like, cool, but I wasn't expecting that, I think Miss Barnes is there. She won a prize. I can't name everybody. It's so many people. Black Steve was there. Like, it was just so many people that was just like beautiful. And then there were people that y'all, like, because y'all bought tickets to give away, there was people there that got tickets, some of them that morning. That was like, thank you, shout out to Sean Nolan and his wife, the photographer, who was a little like, all right, Sean, come on now, I know how to hold a camera. You know, like it was fun, man. I'm so glad we did it. This is the least nervous I've been for one of these. The least,
yeah, for me too. Yes,
like I'm so confident in what we do at this point, and I felt like we could have did it with no script and no computers, and it would have still been just as funny and just as good because I'm that confident in what we do now and our ability to do it on command. But yeah, man, thank you everyone for coming together. The live show was great.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was. Oh yeah, I forgot. I seen Tanya. Shout out to Dr. April. But shout out to the Three Guys on crew. Like we seen a lot of them, and shout out to the people that
Firestarter.
Yep, Firestarter. Yeah. People that seen people for the first time. Like y'all been internet friends for a long time, and this is like the first time y'all actually got to see each other in real life.
I was getting off to the fact that it was like people meeting up for the first time from other fan bases. Like all this shit was cool. I love doing stuff like this. I love being able to do it. Everyone had a good time, and hopefully when we do this next time, we'll have more notice and do more promotion, and we'll get more people have a chance to come out and experience it live, because I think it's different live.
It is.
And when you see the venue, we couldn't fill that space for sure, but the venue we normally are in is like, it's nice. Mm-hmm. Like when you're in there, you're like, damn, okay.
Yeah, the venue we normally in is much smaller, but this is where they had the events. But it was actually really cool, really nice. I appreciate people were very patient and things like that, particularly when we was taking photos and stuff like that. People were very patient. I just appreciate just the love. I felt really loved. So thank you everybody for coming out and loving and supporting us.
All right, let's get into the next segment. For the gram. All right, so doing it for the gram is where we go on Instagram. We ask y'all a question, and then every week, if I remember, we read the answers on the show. This week, it was a picture of us. It says, I'll show you. It's a picture that I got from Bitmoji. You can add another person to it. So it's me and Karen. And it says judgment-free zone. And the question is, what is the wildest thing you've done to save money? And the caption is, give us those life hacks.
Yeah, what are y'all life hacks?
Let's see. Danny's Art Dreamscape says, I get real creative in the self-checkout line. I hear you, Danny. I think we all know what that means, Dan. I think we all know what that means. Harriet's Gun says, still ain't say the damn thing outside of my 401k. All right. Well, I mean, it doesn't have to mean save money like in a bank account. Could just mean like, this is how I get a discount on bread at the. I wait till the last minute and I buy the bread when it's on sale. I don't know.
Yeah, they don't have the Maritas, but child, folks just love that Marita bread.
Flix Chick G says, my grad school broke ass tried to live a summer in Charlotte without turning the air on. It got wild in my house. Oh no,
child, it get too hot here. What you talking about?
I know it smells crazy up in there.
Child, you can't live down here without no air conditioning.
And the other meme. Did you live like this? Oh man,
child, no.
I don't know about this one. Think Pretty Smart says, as an out straight woman, I lied about being my also out straight homegirl's domestic partner to use her employee discount for a huge discount on a mattress. That's really about it, because I typically get discounts legitimately. Okay, that's a good one though.
Discounts.
That's a good one. I feel like straight people probably do that more than people were willing to talk about.
You're willing to admit.
But I feel like if you do that, you have to be in the prime parade next year. You don't have a choice. You got that mattress. No matter if y'all sleep on it together or not.
You got to show up.
Who Better Than B says, we used to shop for groceries at our parents' houses when we first got married. God damn.
And look, we ain't got the 5. Y'all got more than the. But like this, if you like my mama, she like old people keep their house full of shit. I'm like, mama, why you got? It's just you. Why you have fucking deep freezer full of shit?
That is the most gracious way to say stole from your parents.
Yes.
You're not shopping. Shopping implies you're giving them money. You didn't go in there and see the price on the bread and be like, okay, so bread was $4. Okay. No, you went in there and took your mama's bread.
Take it all.
In fairness, our mom was always gave us several bags. Had us several bags packed when we came to visit. Paper towel, steaks, cookies, an air fryer, a panini press, a whole grill, whatever. Mama knew love and still do, don't they?
Oh.
Amber Sheree says, I let men I didn't like take me out to eat, but trust me, I paid and my time being spent with the wrong ones. Yeah, I think this is a big thing for a lot of straight men, that the real reason they're jealous of women. It's because of patriarchy. And it's not the women's fault. It's obviously the people that said patriarchy's fault. But that's what a lot of jealousy and resentment is. It's like, I wish somebody would pay for me to eat food that I didn't really like, but I got some free food and I just pretend to like it for an hour, till they shut the fuck up or whatever. But I would do it. Men, I think men would do this if they had the option. They just don't normally have the option. And obviously, I'm not gonna get into like straight men and like gay men courting them, because I don't want to go down the homophobic path of people that start talking about violence and all this other shit. That's not the point. The point would be, even if it was a woman that you weren't attracted to, who said, I'll pay for a nice dinner, all you got to do is sit and listen to me talk about my life. A lot of men are never going to even have the opportunity to turn that down, because don't nobody do that for men, and it's our fault. DJ Java says, when I lived in London, I would get a monthly bus pass. The date was printed in dots on the ticket, so at the end of each month, I would gently scrape off the date and dot in the next month's date with a sharp pencil. I think the longest I got away with it was about 3 months. This is way back in 1988. No way you could have do that nowadays.
Not now.
That's a good one now. That's creative as fuck. Man, I'm telling you, desperation make people creative.
Don't it though?
Ms. Barnes says, back in the late 90s, my check writing game was on point. You had to decide what was the acceptable amount of debt to be in.
Yes.
While in between pay periods, checks for groceries, checks for gas, clothes, and it was the holidays. Everyone got something from Bath and Body Works. Also, you had science your bank account to see when the checks were hitting the account. For example, I wrote a check on Friday evening. It hits the account by Tuesday, Wednesday, if a holiday happened. I definitely did this one.
We mapped that out, child. You know what? I know this might sound sad because I'm old enough to remember this, child. When we was in college, child, I cried when they took out the $5, because you just gonna take out $5 exactly at the ATM. It was like 5, 10s, and 20s there. There was like, bitch, ain't nothing here but 20s, 50s, and 100s.
Yeah, the one for me was when I learned you could write a check for over the amount. Should have never told me that one, because I used to I go to the grocery store, get a pack of gum, be like, $25 cash over the amount, please. And now I got 25 smackaroos. And especially when the bank switched it to you can't take out fives, you could still go get you like $5, $10 out of the, without going to the ATM. You could be like, I know exact penny what's in my account. Let me write this check for $18.76 over.
Yes.
One time I did it too good though, and I accidentally zeroed out my account. The type of checking account I had, if you got to $0 exactly, not negative 1 cent or positive 1 cent, zero, it closed your account. And so one time it closed my account.
Oh no!
I was like, what the fuck happened? The ATM not working. It was like, it says you have $0. It's like, yeah, but my mom will put some money in there eventually.
Right?
Games and Drinks says, I ate noodles for a few years straight, along with cheap dollar store cuts of meat and frozen veggies. That's not, well, actually, I guess that is pretty wild to save money, because, dollar store meat is, that's basically eating cancer. At least, like, I'd rather eat like plutonium.
Oh no!
I mean, come on, listen, we've all had dollar store meat at some point, and it was all culminated in us doing bad. It was not, no one's ever first choice was dollar store meat. I never met a person that's like,
choice. Your sodium levels was through the roof, baby.
Just found $1. Can't wait to get some steakums.
That meat tastes like Salt Lick.
Like you, because the dollar store, they give you steak on. That's how they get you.
Yes, the steak on.
The dollar store grocery, they act like they doing you some type of, like, it's only $1. It's like, you the only place where you can get Hot Pocket and steak 'em.
Come on, not Hot Pocket.
Y'all know what y'all
drop
doing.
the S.
Y'all know what y'all doing. I got one steak 'em. Who the fuck cooked one steak 'em? Elise says taking expired products, not food, that can be repurposed or still use Q-tips, cleaning supplies, small specimen cups that I can use on the airplane, a surgical drape I can use for painting, etc. Philly D says, right after college, I used to buy. By the way, that last one was great. I don't have nothing bad to say about it. Right after college, I used to go buy chicken and lunch meat and just have different chicken, turkey, ham sandwiches for like 2 weeks straight until my check. Man, I used to get that cheap ass prepackaged turkey meat that was like 97 slices or whatever. Hey, I made it work.
Come on, when you get that little bag, yes.
I was a motherfucking chef with that Foreman grill and them thin ass turkey slices.
Come on, made that shit stretch.
Used to make that shit in some American cheese, the worst of the cheeses. I used to make that work.
Come on, I used to go, when we was in college, I used to go and I used to get I call it the tubo meat. Where you know, because I was an RA, so I would just buy the tubo meat and just break it up and just slowly chop up against it. And I would actually put it in my own refrigerator because I was like, I'll cut a bitch if y'all fuck around here and take my shit.
White Label American says, man, these questions be feeling like they are from the KGB trying to update my dossier. Anyway, before I arrived in America, a nougat wasn't liquid, so on some days I had to make sure my cash in hand would cover my feeding for a week or two until the next gig arrived. So I befriended a lady whose mama owned a restaurant and ate there only while she was working. Her knucklehead younger brother was always trying to bring me a bill. I was like, read the room, kid, I'm broke. His sister was an angel. I paid whenever I could, but in the hardest of times I was able to save some change for other missions. It wasn't even sexual. I also befriended my cousin's landlord kids, so they sometimes hooked me up with food anytime their grandma cooked. I used to piss their dad. It used to piss their dad a lot, as my cousin owed that man a lot of money. I guess you can count those as savings. Otherwise, I would have been shaking ass on the streets of Lagos. Big save financially and physically. I'll stop here for now. I won't bore you with what I used to order to make me last from morning to night before another meal. That's 101 calculation of hunger. No Drama CC says, not to save money, but to make a few bucks when I was dead broke. I posted my nightstand on Facebook Marketplace. I had like $5 in my account and near empty tank of gas. I drove the nightstand to the buyer to view. If she didn't decide to buy it, I wouldn't have been able to get home. With the money I made selling the nightstand, I was able to get gas and get home to work for the next week. Wow. Never again. Girl, I know.
It be like that sometimes. Yeah, I remember one time, and I think Roger had a glitch. He went to go buy some toilet paper. I think it was like periodically banks do this stuff where they'll, you know how you had that thing doing this time will be shutting down the system and they don't let you know sometimes. And you know, Roger grabbed his card and it was just like, and you know, now I'll be like, well, bitch, I know the money there, you know. But you know, then I was like, well, this could be a hit or miss.
Yeah, BB&T was down that morning, and it was nothing I did wrong. I thought I had the money when I left. I didn't have a lot of money in the account, but I knew I had enough for just the little shit I was getting. And by the time I got home, it was fixed, but I was so embarrassed. I honestly didn't write a check or nothing. They was like, sir, you can. I just walked out like, bye. They was like, you don't want to run it again? I was, nope, fuck it. I don't know what's happening. Autumn W says, and the thing I was going to say is I used to do stuff like I used to order the 13 CDs for a penny from Columbia House. They would get there. Yes. And then I would go and immediately pawn them down at the local music CD place. And eventually they got so sick of me, they said, we don't take stuff from Columbia House. I said, damn, somebody else must have put them on to the plot. It was like, this is the 17th Ready to Die album this nigga done walked in with. Autumn W says, when I was in college, landlines are still popping. My friend and I used to calling cards to save on long distance calls over the summer. So she was in South Carolina, I was in PA. The first 15 minutes were free, so we hang up every 14 minutes, then we call each other back. I remember them days too.
You have to be after 9. Somebody call you before 9. You be like, bitch, you don't get on my phone. Click.
US Steel 07 says, in college, my roommate was sleeping with a cashier at the food line so we could get that good fake scan discount. He must have been a good lover because old girl was hooking us up for the entire school year. Man, I miss college. Yeah, I won't say no names, but I had a roommate one time that had some woman that was buying us groceries. Like she brought actual groceries to our dorm room one time, and I was like, I just turned to him like, "You better never fuck this one up, okay?" Like, I don't care what happens. You in love, nigga.
You better be in love at least.
Formerly known as M says, made sure I ordered breakfast bars and coffee. I like being the admin because I was broke. Even my kid was eating free breakfast and lunch at school. I never stole, but I sure had a decent deal stash. That's cool. That's, let's see. Nerdy the Sensei says, I brought my grandma, rest in power, with me to get an oil change on the business's ladies' day, claiming I was driving her to get it done every time. Oh, wow.
That's smart.
Devious.
Technically, you wouldn't lie.
And she probably respected it. She probably was like, look at my baby saving money the way I taught him. J252 says, in order to save money on the DC Metro, I'd walk as far as I could along the stops to save money. If I timed it right, I would get to Eastern Market on Potomac Ave by 7. Then when peak hours hit, and I was doing that mess in dress shoes too. Woo!
Wow, your feet, your poor feet.
Woo! Tough times. Let's see. This one says, Iman ubiquitously says, took bucket showers. I only use 5 gallons per shower. Back when I used to eat Arby's and they had those 5 for 5s, I would buy 5 sandwiches and eat one each day for my lunch in college. Well, that works though.
That's smart.
It's a good one. I mean, they're just giving the food away because they're not, Anyway, Eve says it was my birthday at least 10 times one year so I could get free stuff at restaurants. I've heard about this. So especially now with apps, people get a different app, like get all the food apps. You put your birthday in a different month in each app. And then every month is like, okay, Cadoba's free this month. Next one, Chipotle's free next month. So, and you just do that. So, Reg Dow says, I used to eat a bag of salad, the plain romaine, not the salad kit, or a can of corn for lunch and dinner. Man, some of these aren't wild. They just broke. But I hear you. It's wild it's wild what you do when you broke.
Right. It's wild how broke people can be. Right.
Yeah. But it's just funny because I was thinking more like, I used to get a buy one, get one free coupon from this. And they were just like, I used to eat gravel. I take some boiling water, throw some gravel in there. Now I got gravel soup. I'm like, okay.
Child, I didn't have a 5.
Well, I know, but it's just, what's the wild stuff? Anyway. Stan McCaster says, got a job at a restaurant so I can eat for free. Oh, good one. I did this in college once. I only work evenings. I got lunch and dinner there every day and worked. And the days I did not eat leftovers. I didn't eat breakfast for like a year. Yeah, I definitely did that in college. I had Pizza Hut and Wendy's jobs where if you work nights, they just give you all the food.
Right, they're about to close anyway.
I used to feed the dorm, dog. They used to love to see me coming back. My sweet mates, they fuck with me that year.
Yeah, because they was like, we're going to throw all this shit away anyway.
KSR94F says, started shopping in the bad part of town where it's considered a food desert because the cost of groceries was subsidized.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Okay. I used to do that when I was a kid with my grandma and stuff.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because you shop in the, for lack of a better term, the ghetto. You shop in the ghetto grocery store. You don't know no better, but you can feel it. Like everything that's supposed to be a certain, like, things are supposed to be dry or wet. Things are supposed to be wet or dry. AC leaking, a certain smell. Like, man, they're not keeping this. They're not keeping the food cold enough for it not to smell. Like I can smell if the pig is good. But at that same time, man, them prices. You don't see them every day.
Child, people go like, I got these kids to feed. That was like, I can't be bullshitting.
It's like, listen, I cook the greens a little bit longer. Make sure we don't die.
I wash them extra hard.
Angie says, when my son was younger, I knew which restaurant he could eat for free, while I only paid for my meal and the tip. There was a cash only movie theater, and I would take him for double feature kid movies. They had 25-cent refills on drinks and popcorn. They showed first run movies. Sunday morning was the best. Oh yeah, we used to do the double feature trick.
Mm-hmm.
I be looking in that motherfucking paper. Yes, the paper kids. It was before
We used to
the
do
internet.
the dollar theater.
Yeah, dollar theater too. But I used to look in that paper and be like, okay, now see if Terminator 2 get out at, if it's a 2-hour movie and it could start at 2,
We timed it
and
just
get out
right.
at 2, and then the Boys in the Hood started, at 4:06. Can make that work. Actually, you could do like Boys in the Hood started 3:45. Okay, the first 15 minutes, that's previews. You can walk straight out of this one into the next. This is before assigned seats, all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next, but that's doing it for the gram. Thanks everybody. For the gram, 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 for the gram. Let's get into the voicemails. We got 3 new voicemails. I haven't played them yet, so we'll find out.
We'll find out together.
704-557-0187.
Yes, sir.
0186. Sorry.
Yes.
Rod and Karen, it's your boy, Blue Wave Rider. Been away for a while, but I'm
Hey.
back. So let me get this straight. We know Rod don't like Arby's, but now Karen don't like first-person shooter games. 1-star review. I'm just playing. Happy anniversary and happy TBGWT Day.
Oh,
That's hilarious.
yeah. First person shooter games are an acquired taste. I used to not like them, and it used to make my brain feel weird when I played them.
Yes.
And then I just powered through, because what I would do is play for a little bit, get dizzy, stop, play for a little bit.
That's
get
all I
dizzy.
need to do, because I get
Get
in there and I be
dizzy,
like,
stop.
the fuck is this?
Yeah, but also it doesn't really, like, back in the day it used to be real bad, but they've done a lot of stuff now where it doesn't give you as much of the like dizziness and disorientation as it used to. But no, I love first person shooter games now. But yeah, I was like Karen a long time ago. I would never play them.
And I think that's what turned me off. And once I got turned off, I was like, why would I do this, honey child? Let me do my cozy games and be happy over here. Do.
Yeah. And sometimes they have cozy games in first person. So you're really playing a first person game. That game Bug Snacks is in first person. So that's, it's just you don't have a gun that kills people, but you have a gun.
That's true. And I played that.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I didn't even think of it like that.
Mm-hmm. Next voicemail from Raphael.
Hi, Rod. Hello to the best podcasters in the game. This is your boy, Raphael. I ain't selling no tickets to South Africa. Change from that game. So, quickly on the Spain story. This might be good for the sports show, but anyway. So it all started with 15 players from the women's team quitting last year. They didn't want to play for the coach due to unsporting environment that the coach had created. And then only 3 of them will return back to the team just before the World Cup. And the Spanish Federation boss supported the coach throughout the whole ordeal, and it was a big thing. And then Spain went on to win the World Cup, and then the guy kissed one of the women's players, and the coach was returning the loyalty of the boss by, going out there and being like, yeah, that kind of thing. And then backfired because the boss got suspended. He's pending, he's in charge of Spain's joint World Cup deal with Morocco and Portugal, so there's a whole other thing going on there. While the coach who was standing for his boss has now been fired. A lot of people wanted him fired a long time ago. A lot of the women's players, some of their best players, were not at the World Cup. So you're having all that going on in the background, seeing crazy thing going on, but it's wild to see right now. So just to give you all that context. I'll call back again with something else. I got to go see Denzel.
All right. Shout out to the Equalizer. And yeah, thank you for that, because
Right.
I didn't know the full story there, and I didn't even realize it was the coach that got fired and not the dude that did the kiss. That's wild. Like,
right.
yeah. We'll talk more about it probably on Ball Street Sports.
Okay.
Last voicemail is from Dostacks.
Hey, what do you do, Rod and Karen? This is
Go
Dr.
on.
Dostax, calling out of Chicago. I was getting caught up on old episodes and listening to y'all talk fantastic. Frankie, fucking awesome episode. A lot of like good nerdery and positive nerdery. You know, highlighting a number of different things. But while y'all was doing that, I was playing Smash Brothers Ultimate. I was playing as Sheik, and I got incensed because we should have another Zelda game, because, you know, remember Sheik from Ocarina of Time when Zelda dressed up as a ninja, and then when she dressed back up as a princess, she could use magic? Yeah, it's inexcusable we don't have a Zelda game of just like Zelda, because like we've seen her be a ninja, so she got hands and feet and knives, and we've seen her be a sorceress using magic and stuff. And yeah, look, we can, you know, like Link is good and stuff, but yeah, I'd like to see Zelda out there. And also, yeah, that episode of Fantastic Frankie was fantastic. Pun fully intended. Hope y'all have a good one. Thank you as always for the dope shows and whatnot. You know, I say it all the time. I always mean it. So yeah, peace.
Thank you, Doe.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, this is a picture of Sheik right here. But yeah, man, I'm so glad everybody loved that episode with Fantastic Frankie. I love Frankie. I follow her on Instagram
So
and
much
stuff.
fun.
And you know, I think she like when I first virtually met her at For All Nerds, and she was like, "I'm Fantastic Frankie. I'm the fanboy fighter and stuff." I was like, "Oh man, she likes to argue." And y'all just know I'm not a like to argue nerd. That's just, I'm very like, not that I can't do it, not that I wouldn't do it, but it's like playing spades. I feel like the evil part comes out of me, and then I'll be
And then
like,
it get real ugly. Yeah.
I'll be like, why am I arguing with this person so hard over Star Wars? It shouldn't be this serious.
you have to check yourself.
I'm legitimately mad at this person for having a different opinion than me about some shit, you know.
Mhm.
So like I'm genuinely mad that some of y'all don't know the difference between a good Fast and Furious movie that's bad and a bad Fast and Furious movie that's bad.
There is a difference.
And that doesn't make sense to be that mad about something. So I just stopped getting into
Stop
that.
caring, right?
But so at first I was kind of like, I don't know, let me leave Frankie alone, because she might be one of these people that just always is saying some contrarian stuff or something to start a fight, and then she liked to fight, and now you're fighting with somebody all the time. It's like you got that weird social media like relationship of, I don't know this person well enough to be fighting with them all the time, and I'm fighting with this person. And so I was kind of a little like hesitant, but everything I've seen from her is just always so smart, always so funny,
Well thought out.
always also like very understanding of like, I fight and make jokes and do all this shit for a living, so it's never too serious. And I just think she just seems to me like such an awesome person. And you know, I'm glad that my first instinct of just being like hell no kind of went away over time, because I think she's cool as fuck.
Me too. And like I said, I don't like to argue in general. And I don't, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, particularly arguing about stuff like that, yeah, you get really, really upset, you know, because you like what you like. And that's kind of the end of it for me. So yeah, and some of the anger is even valid. And I'm still like, I just don't want to fuss about it.
All right, last thing, second to last thing, actually, we have some emails. All right. Got a couple emails here. Pamela says, I'm listening to your listener feedback episode 202 from August 13th, 2011.
Oh, you were back at archives, baby.
And apparently your anniversary is September the 2nd.
Okay.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you, baby.
So she kind of wrote that from the past to the future. And August 13th, 2011 is We were already on episode 202. That's wild. Damn. We should have known we
was some grinding ass niggas that we done slowed down.
No subject. Chris says, what's happening, Rod and Karen? Long time listener, love the show, and I love some of the other podcasts you guys put me on to too. I am coming to the live show this weekend from Wilmington. I cannot wait. Anyway, I'm hitting y'all up because of a concern. I stream you guys via Amazon Music. I've noticed something that I'm not sure you guys are aware of. Somewhere between halfway and 2/3 of every episode, the app abruptly starts over the episode. What? This has been going on for at least 2 weeks. This means I'm missing Guess the Race, Sore Racking, and some other things. I thought it was a glitch at first, but it doesn't seem to be because it's not happening with any of the other pods I listen to. With that said, I'm probably switching my service soon. Just wondering if you guys knew about this. Anyway, I'll see you guys this weekend. Love you guys. Bro, no one's reported this. If you have this issue, let me know. Anyone else so we can confirm it.
Right,
because we can email Amazon, but it's probably some bullshit like
on their end.
Yeah, it's probably some shit we can't change. And I don't know how many people get their podcast via Amazon and stuff, but we try to make sure that it's good for everybody. But I just want you to know, it's nothing on our side that we're changing,
because it plays on other apps just fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's something between them and somebody else, but it's not necessarily us like that. Oh, my browser just froze. Oh, what does this mean?
Oh, snap.
We're about to lose.
Is everything else freezing? Is it
nothing else is frozen?
Okay, did Audacity stop?
Am I moving? Y'all seeing me? I'm on the screen?
Yes, you're on the screen.
What the fuck?
If you need to refresh, that's fine.
Okay, I might
feel safe refresh. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I can't refresh. It's literally frozen. It's like close program, wait for program to respond. So I guess what I'll try to do.
Throw it out, delete.
Well, I can close it and bring it back, but it might take a minute, and my screen's gonna be blank. And no one's gonna be able to hear Karen for a second.
True.
But I may have to.
Right, because it needs to be moving around.
Well, you're right. Now other things are starting to try to freeze.
Because I'm about to say it start with the browser, and then other shit start freezing up.
Somewhere Miss Smart is cackling. I told you to get a Mac. It shouldn't have. All right, I'm gonna close it and come back. Google Chrome. So I think, can y'all see me now? I'm good. See me and hear me? Shit, am I on the screen twice? Oh no, okay. All right, so can y'all hear me and see me? Let me just make sure that we're good to go. Recording still working. See Trey saying he's screaming. Probably a bit of a delay. Okay, yes. Cool. All right, I'll keep going. Man, that was weird. All right, let me go to the to the emails again, and we got one last one. John says, fuck Bill Maher. Good morning, Ron and Karen. Good Lord, that Bill Maher interview was dumb. I think that's my problem with the Bill Maher thing now, because I think even in his contrarian stuff back in the day, and I know there's some of y'all that are so awesome you never liked him ever for no reason. Cool, I get it. You're a cool kid. But for those of us that when he was one of the most popular people in the game and doing something that essentially, I don't know that I'd be doing what I'm doing today without people, even some of the people that I despise, that kind of paved the way of like, you can just go talk about things.
Right.
Anyway, back in the day when I thought he was interesting and did have some middle ground stuff that made sense to me, I thought he used to just also be smart.
He was.
I felt like he was smarter, and maybe he got older and set in his ways and said, I don't need to read anything. I know everything.
Correct.
But something happened. He lost a step in the brain department, not the like being being like boisterous or being snide and all that shit. His attitude was like that back then, so but it's just, I didn't even find what he said to be smart. It felt like someone that literally didn't know shit about what they were talking about, but had to have this hot take. And he sounds like that with a lot of stuff now. And so he didn't just lose me because like, I was like, I'm so offended. I don't know how to express this to y'all, but I listen to people that would offend y'all all the time. It's not about that for me. It's not like it's fine. I'm not saying I listen to everybody or just the purpose is to be offended. There's just certain people I'm like, I like the way they think. Sometimes they say some shit I don't like.
Right.
This nigga is just not as smart as he was. You know, same thing happened with Adam Carolla. Once he started fucking with that right wing shit, his work got less good. People always think and I get why they think it, because a lot of liberal people are always making us think about the morals of shit, right? I'm not listening to this. I'm not eating this. I'm not. Yeah, that's cool, whatever. My thing is, if you're a comedian, I'll fuck with you as long as I feel like what you're doing is smart and funny.
Right.
When you start losing me on that shit and the only thing you got left is, well, at least I'm angry at the right people, I don't give a fuck anymore. I came for the humor. You know, I make a good product.
Because then it becomes an angry hive.
Yeah, and so Bill Maher, he stopped making a good product a while ago. And I just, you know, I get people trying to hold on to the last vestiges of what he was, but if you're looking at this shit and feeling like this is even close to his fastball, I think that I question if you were ever a real fan of his. Because I feel like a real fan would be like, yeah, the shit he's saying now it's the same way I feel about Chappelle's trans shit, where I'm like, yeah, this shit is not just that it's so much of it, it's not even like some shit where I feel like you're giving us something a hack wouldn't give us. I feel like I'm just making the lowest common denominator jokes. It's like if you just went on stage for an hour and made fat jokes. Yes, a lot of people will laugh, a lot of people wouldn't care, but I'd be like, damn, that's all you've been reduced to? Well, I thought you like used to be the nigga that had like a different, fresh perspective that was ahead of everybody, but now you sound behind everybody. Comparing the world of streaming production in 2007 to today is just ridiculous. There were only a couple streaming services back in 2007, each with only a couple original series being produced. Most of us had Netflix and maybe Hulu. Now there are like a dozen of them with countless series and original movies, etc., providing the majority of the content. Like the whole game changed in a major way between 2007 and now, saying that writers' unions should have the same demands, concerns, expectations, etc. Now that they had then is like saying NBA players' unions shouldn't have changed their stances before and after the addition of the three-point line, allowing dunks or expanding the length of the season. I have a lot of friends who work as writers in Hollywood, and in 2007, writing for a streaming series was like a novelty. Now it's half or more what they do every year. Anyways, fuck that dude to eternity. What an asshole. He's always smug and wrong. Cheers. Stay safe, John. Yeah, and honestly, they never want to discuss that argument has no other side, because they never want to come off and be like, what I am actually saying is that as these streamers have gotten more money and more lucrative for the CEOs and the companies, they should give nothing extra to the people that make the content. Right. They never want to say that, so they just go, isn't it kind of croaking that they want some money? It's like, no, don't you say the whole sentence.
Right.
Because you know what? There is more money coming into these people. To not the writers, but to these companies. So explain to me why it's ridiculous to see your work bring in more money than it was the last time you negotiated. But you should come back to the table and say, we'll take the exact same deal or worse. Plus, you can replace us with computers. No problem. As long as the talk show hosts get to do their fucking show. And I think in a weird way, maybe Bill Maher was ahead of the curve in this way. Drew Barrymore is essentially saying the same thing, but with her actions and not to Jim Gaffigan's stunned face. So maybe it's the same shit. Maybe they really do think I'm the talent in front of the camera. Fuck everybody. I can do this shit by myself, which is probably the recipe for how you become a star and do a show. But it's also a recipe for you without writers is stupid. You sound like you sounded in that long ass thread about the Barbie movie, where you were obviously talking about the prostitute you paid that night and her opinion on the movie.
Yeah, and nobody looked at it, nobody edited it.
You didn't have no writers, so your shit sounded corny. You know?
They couldn't punch it up, none of that shit.
It's the reason you don't just freestyle new rules.
Right.
Anyway, new rule. Let's open up some presents, okay, guys? We just want to thank people because some people brought things out to the
it was
live
unexpected.
Show. Yeah, we weren't. Yeah, I didn't even think that this was going to happen. Except one person did say, "I'm bringing something for you," and they did. and I won't say who, but they know who they are, and they know what they brought. Thank you. But Tanya, W42, I believe she got us this Sorrel.
Yes, that's your jam.
We actually have a bottle in there. It's from a black-owned company, and for some reason, it was supposed to come with a note, and it wasn't in there. That's why we didn't know who it was from or what to say.
That makes sense because we looked at everybody. We was like, I don't know. We were so confused.
Another listener who we met so many people, I forgot her name, but she brought this pumpkin spice coffee glass. You can only wash it by hand, Karen. Don't put this in the dishwasher.
Okay.
But you can only wash this by hand. It's got like a glass straw thing.
Yeah,
to it.
She was this.
It says pumpkin spice. It's got the Starbucks.
Yeah, she
logo.
was the one that says she like a basic bitch.
I say I'm basic, and then so this is perfect.
Yes.
Then we had another fan bring us something. We haven't even looked in this yet. Or actually, no. I looked in it, but I didn't show Karen. So I don't know. Maybe you looked too.
I didn't look. I didn't know.
So first thing in it is Hot Rod, the Autobot, my fave.
Oh, we must talk about that at dinner.
Now, I had this as a kid. I had Hot Rod. I never got Rodimus Prime, ironically. But Hot Rod was the cool car anyway. That was my fave. And she also got us this. Now it's wrapped up in plastic, but you can hang it. It's like a frame thing. I don't know if y'all can read it, but it says Atlanta Tribune. Pandemic sweeps the country. Deputy sheriff in critical condition following a shootout, and it's Rick Grimes. It is a Walking Dead framed like newspaper. And honestly, I saw this, and I know what you were doing. I know what you were doing. You're passive aggressive. I'm not even mad at you. I'm not mad at you. You're passive aggressive.
Sweet.
And you wanted to be like, hey, when y'all gonna do those fucking recaps again? It's been like a year. Okay? We've been waiting forever. And I hear you. So we started watching the show again because I like this gift so much, and it did make my heart grow 3 sizes.
They definitely gonna hang that one up on a wall.
I gotta take my notes, of course, and rewatch it, but we will be doing the recaps again because you reminded me that I love The Walking Dead. Yes, I know everybody hates it. I know everybody moved on. I get it. You're better than us. But for me, I never stopped loving it. When it got silly and quote unquote bad, I liked that it was kind of silly and bad. I still think it's the best depiction of humanity in a crisis that we'll ever have. And it looked no further than the actual fucking pandemic to be like, you know what? I really think people would do this shit.
Me too.
We're gonna finish it out strong. Absolutely. I don't know that we'll be doing Daryl and all that and Dead City. I don't know if we'll be doing that many spin-outs. I feel like, but we definitely will be doing the last 8 episodes.
Yes,
and
the main one. Yeah.
We'll probably do some quick down and dirty recaps behind the paywall for the Fear of the Walking Dead.
This is their last season.
I think it's also their last season.
It is.
So, but thank you for this passive aggressive, beautiful gift that made me go, you know what? You're right. This is the kind of stuff I appreciate, because if you're gonna be passive aggressive, be adorable. I love this little collectible thing. I'm gonna put this on my wall somewhere. So thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for coming out to the live show. I don't know when we'll be back. Karen's the one that tries to keep making me work myself to death and won't let me take a break. But hopefully
I'll be voting it both ways.
Hopefully, we'll be back soon, and we'll talk to y'all then. Thanks for all the feedback. Thanks for coming to the live show, and all the compliments on Karen's hair. Okay, she was in the car like stiff wear. Until next time, I love you.
I love you too.
Mwah. Bye, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. Thanks for hanging out with us through the technical difficulties.